I will say though, now I have this uh this 8 terabyte hard drive, and I'm so
Nice.
happy because fucking space.
Yeah, I bet.
Like having having to not worry about the limitations of like a 2 terabyte, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get a 10, but like they were out of stock or not made anymore. It's
That
weird.
sucks. The
Yeah.
thing that sucks for me is that I got a new hard drive,
Yeah.
but I don't have the SATA cable. I don't have my motherboard doesn't have any more SATA inputs.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah. If
Yeah,
it
so it's a
if it was a SATA cable issue, I would have been like, "Oh, you want some SATA cables?" Because
yeah.
like
Nope.
yeah. I
I wish.
I
There's just not enough input, and there's no fucking SATA splitters. That's not a thing apparently,
no. Yeah, no, that's not a thing.
which sucks.
Yeah. It's cuz you need the full current that would go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I ordered 3 SATA cables. What was it? Like 3, no, not 3, like 2 to 2.5 weeks ago, I think, right at this point.
Mhm.
um and I was like, oh, okay, they'll come in 2 days because Amazon, right?
Mhm.
And 2 days goes by and it's like, oh, your order is going to be delayed, and I'm like, okay, yeah. And
Mhm.
then it's like, okay, it'll come between like the 11th and the 15th. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, sure. Or the 12th and the 15th. And I was like, okay, sure. So I wait for the 15th, and it's like, yeah, meh, we don't know where it is. And also, tomorrow you can get a refund. I'm like, okay, that's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
So I get the refund and I order 3 other SATA cables from a different distributor.
Oh, jeez. And then
What
the other 3 showed up.
with those 3
Yep.
the same day because I got day one shipping on that other set. And I was like, what is happening? So now I have just like 4 SATA cables that I don't need to use right now, which is fine.
Okay.
I have a couple more ports that I could, use them for in the future. But
Mhm.
like it's really annoying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it's better than not having them, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Um
But yeah, I'm so mad that it's my fucking motherboard because that's
yeah.
that's that's big.
Yeah, that's really annoying to replace and get everything all set for.
Yeah,
Like,
and since it's totally functional as it is, it's probably
yeah.
not gonna be an upgrade I make for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially since I couldn't even afford break food today.
Well, ooh. Ooh.
I mean, it's basically because I bought some shit that I
Yeah.
don't usually account for because
Oh, gotcha.
I'm very lucky. I only have like a 7-minute drive
Oh, yeah.
to
That's
work.
nice.
And so I very rarely have to fill up. And so I don't usually account for gas in
Mhm.
my budget.
Oh, yeah,
So
fair.
yeah, so
I
that
gotcha.
extra like 25-30 bucks kind of bit me.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Not to mention I bought too many gems in Smite, I'll be honest. I didn't
there it
spend
is.
$100 on them, but
There it
I
is.
did get a couple
Okay, that's fair.
packs of gems because
I
I wanted
gotcha.
those skins.
I understand. I understand. Well,
Shiva's out now.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what makes me sad
Mhm.
and very frustrated? Remember how I was like, "Oh, Atlas is brand new, so he's going to get nerfed." He came out in December.
Ah, ooh.
So, if he got
Yikes.
nerfed, it would have already happened. So, this is
Yeah.
his post-nerf state.
Okay. Well, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're just going to have to deal with it for a time being.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Um, well. Hello out
Yes.
there. Welcome back to Table Talk Discussion and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great on 95.
And I'm the third host.
That's right.
We're waiting on the second.
We are. He will be
Yeah,
here
he's gonna be
later.
late.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to wait for him.
No, we're not going to
know.
at all.
Yeah, no.
Why would we do that?
Yeah, no, we wouldn't.
Hey, Con, how's it going?
Con.
Same. I ordered some novel books on the 7th and still haven't gotten them. That sucks. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
I hope you got a refund. and or you know where they are, because legitimately when I was looking at my tracking history thing, it was just like, yeah, it's made it to there, and also it's been given to another carrier. And then I look up the tracking information for like USPS, and it was
it's like,
yeah, we don't fucking know where it is.
We don't have it anymore. Good luck.
And I'm
Bye.
just like, okay, very cool.
And you know what? Speaking of cursed shipping,
yeah.
I bought, what the hell? Why is that not lift up the damn thing? I bought a miniature on Etsy a long time ago, and it only just now arrived, as far as I know.
Wow.
It came from Russia.
Oh no. Oh.
So it's from Russia, baby.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a bomb.
I gotcha. Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see.
But yeah, so tonight we are going to be talking about some more homebrew campaign tips of starting your homebrew worlds.
Yes.
And your homebrew campaigns. So,
yes.
We'll see how they go.
Yes.
This first
hopefully they're not shitty.
Yeah, I don't think
they should be fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard to come up with tips like this. I really don't.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
One other thing before we get going. We hit 600 subs. Like yesterday, I think. Thanks.
Oh, this looks
That's
so
crazy.
good.
What?
It's Throt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Basically Throt.
Cool. But yeah, thanks to all the new ones who have come in and gotten us to 600. Well, only 400 more to go, and then we hit that big number, that first big number. That's crazy. So maybe we'll get there. Who knows? But that being said, let's move over to the video.
Yeah.
So this first one is called How to Plan a Homebrew D&D Campaign, Making a Homebrew Campaign Episode 0. This is brought to us by Icarus Games. Icarus Games. And yeah. Hey, Funky, what's up? The party popper is appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We have an ETA of 40 minutes for our second host. So get prepared, everyone. It'll happen mid-video.
Yes.
Unless we don't have much to talk about in this video. We'll see.
Finish it before he gets on.
That's right. Here we go.
Yes. Greetings, gamers. Welcome to a brand new series where I make a homebrew D&D campaign and bring you along for every step of the process.
Oh, cool.
Just a quick aside, folks, to say that there are some audio issues in this video that will be hopefully fixed by next week. Okay. So just hang on in there and enjoy the video. Next week, hopefully, these audio problems will be sorted. Before we dive in and start creating worlds, writing adventures and statting monsters, we need to decide what kind of campaign that we want to run.
Okay.
Thinking about what kind of game you want to play and what you want to get out from your game is really going to help you figure some things out further down the line. With a lot of the tips in this video, it's going to be a good idea to...
No vid on stream, you're right. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for catching that. I like to hear this because I have something to say about bad homebrew games from a recent transaction I and 3 other friends had. Oh, that sucks, August. Okay.
Transaction or interaction?
Either way. But okay. Well, let us know when we see you, I guess.
Speak to your players before making a final decision and including them on the decision-making process. There's no point in making a vast and complex world filled with wonderful locations and unique characters if your players aren't interested in playing in it. The first thing that you want to do before you start creating your homebrew campaign is decide what genre you want to play in and what kind of tone you want from your campaign. The system that you play isn't really crucial here. It's more important that you set out your genre and tone as early as possible. After all, there's no point in creating a grim, dark fantasy setting if all of your players just want to play something light and easy.
Okay. Yeah. Easy first one. Absolutely. Setting your tone.
And establishing, what everybody wants to play.
Yeah. And this is the other thing that I will kind of push back on a little bit, in the sense of, I guess not choosing your system first, right? Your system matters a little bit, I would say, in the beginning, because firstly, is it something that you're familiar with? Is it something that your friends or your group wants to play, right? Because that itself can be used to get the tone of whatever it is that you're going to be doing. Because something like D&D or something like Career Pathfinder, you can do a lot of different tones, right? And I would argue for a lot of different things, though there are specific systems that will give you those tones in different, like, in either better, worse, or just they are made for those, right?
Yes.
The standard one, Call of Cthulhu, is usually very much a horror setting, right?
Yes. And the systems within the game are hard-boiled or hard-baked into creating that horror feel.
Exactly.
Theme.
So, like, you could do that as a different kind of tone. It's definitely possible, though your results may vary, obviously. Yes. And if everybody wants to play Call of Cthulhu, but then they want to play something that's a little more, I guess, heroic, then you have alternatives like Pulp Cthulhu, right? Like,
indeed.
And you can go down the road of these settings and get from whatever it is that you're kind of familiar with, and then go to a thing that is very similar, like Pulp Cthulhu is to Call of Cthulhu, or D&D is pretty similar to, like, anything really that's D20 system, so, like, it's hard to deviate from there if you want to do different kind of tones and stuff, but it because it can be a catch-all. Interaction, transaction, a bad action happened. There you go.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Speak to your players before you start designing your campaign and get a sense of what they would like to play.
Yeah.
Maybe give them a few options for genre and tone, and have them decide on what sort of game they'd like to play in.
Now, wait, are we talking about a game or a world? Because...
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand, because you're going to have one be like the other in certain respects. Because otherwise, like, you could have a happy-go-lucky world, but you could have parts of it that are less, But this is also taking into the account that you already know what it is. Like, if you're going to give your players options, right? If you're the DM, you already are pretty much familiar with what you can run, or at least what you want to try to run. And in that case, if you're a newer DM, and you want to try to run whatever it is, and you've had no experience with it, I mean, it's still something that you should talk to them about and say, hey, I want to try doing this thing, and maybe, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So I will be right back. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Keep going.
Yeah. You've rolled a 1 on your wild magic table. A magical portal opens, disgorging a Steely. All tables within 100 feet take 2d10 damage. Hey, Steely, how's it going? All systems have their different focuses, and all 5e is quite combat focused, more tailored towards having combat encounters that you will most likely fight against. Where Call of Cthulhu is more horror investigation story based, where it's a bit more socially focused and survive focused, at least from what I've seen. Lamau. Fair enough. So yes, I would agree. D&D is very much more combat focused, it feels like, at least to me. And I know there's some pushback on that, just because the role-playing aspect is there, and it is quite proportionate in the game itself. Though usually things can lead to a combat, whereas, like you said, in Call of Cthulhu, the investigation kind of thing is a lot more the focus, because if you get into a fight in Call of Cthulhu, you're fucking dead. More likely than not. So yeah, they do have their strengths and weaknesses, and that's not to say that, like, like I said, you can't do these things in those systems. Like, you could do a combat-heavy Call of Cthulhu system, but it would be something like Delta Green or Pulp Cthulhu, because that's more specialized for that, and it's not like you couldn't do it in Call of Cthulhu, right? And then with D&D, you could have an entire game where you never do combat, like, ever, and that's totally fine. It just depends on your table and what they want and what you run.
Tone is especially important to think about here, because if the tone of your game is radically different to what your players are expecting, it can put them off really quickly. For example, you could have a fantasy game that has more of the whimsy of a Discworld series, or you could have something grimdark like Warhammer. And if your players come to your table expecting something whimsical and fun like the Discworld series, and instead are immediately thrown into the grimdark of a Warhammer world, that's going to be really jarring, and the chances are that it's really going to put them off the game. Both of those settings are fantasy settings, but their tone is wildly different. So it's really important to early on speak to your players and find out the kind of game that they want to play. As I said,
yeah, 100%. Just 100%. That's entirely true.
Feel free to present the options to your players, but only present options that you'd be happy running. If you don't want to play something light-hearted and whimsical and full of jokes and things that are funny, don't present that as an option to them, because if you as the Dungeon Master don't want to play the game, the campaign's not going to last. The next thing to talk about is...
just like we said before, whatever you're suggesting is something that you want to try, whether you're experienced or not. That's exactly the way that's going to go. Obviously, as is with a lot of tables and a lot of friends and groups, jokes happen, so hopefully you're not put off if you're not looking for a jokey kind of thing when jokes do happen, because they're going to. It's just how you either make the tension go away, or like how the players will make the tension kind of cease, or just because they want to make a joke and it's kind of funny in the moment. Hello, welcome back.
Yes.
Is size. Do you want to run a campaign that's set in a single city, or do you want something that spans an entire planet, or maybe even a galaxy? It's important to think about the size of your campaign, because it's going to drastically alter several aspects of your game. For example, if you're playing a campaign set in a single city and its surrounding area, chances are your players are going to get to know a fairly large selection of NPCs really well. However, if you're playing a game set across an entire galaxy, most of the NPCs your players meet are going to be one-off NPCs that they're never going to meet again, and there's going to be fewer NPCs that make a recurring, lasting impact on them. This
So potentially,
I would say, well, he is saying fewer.
Yeah, again,
none.
that's why I'm saying potentially, because it could be. It really depends on the length that you're going to be playing this.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that if you are going to be doing the same campaign for like a year or more, you're probably going to be meeting a bunch of people and maybe even re-meeting them, or not re-meeting, regrouping with them every now and again in order to, further a relationship or a goal or whatever it is, or just because they're another NPC that you know and the DM has that in their notes that they know this person here. Aha! They can be my quest hook, right?
Yes.
So, I would say that it depends in this situation. Though, more often than not, he's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Means in that kind of game, if you want your NPCs to be memorable, you've really got to dial it up to 11 and give them traits and characteristics that make them instantly recognizable and rememberable. Another thing to take into account...
Rememberable.
I'm not sure, while I don't disagree that doing that makes them instantly more memorable, because it's something that stands out, I also think the subtlety could be there to make it so that you could make somebody kind of stem into being more of a memorable character without having to go to 11. It really just depends on, in that respect, depends on the amount of time that they spend with them.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say, it depends on how fast the campaign is moving,
Mm-hmm.
because if, you send them to, again, let's say a galaxy, you
Mm-hmm.
send them to a starport, and then they meet this person, and they're being subtle, and then they immediately have to leave.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it needs to be somebody that actually is around long enough for them to actually learn about this person.
Right. They go to that starport and they need a mechanic, and that mechanic is very much to himself most of the time, and so, but he is he's there and he's available, and he's like one of the only ones available, and he's got a good track record, and so they take him aboard, and then he's just doing his thing, doing his mechanic thing, and he's like, he tries not to get in their way or anything, he's just there, and eventually they're probably going to pry.
Eventually, yeah.
Because they're there,
Yeah.
The NPC is right there, and
Unless
so they go,
they're the type of party that doesn't talk to people.
right. In which case, potentially, then you have moments where the mechanic is just there,
Yeah.
and they are around and doing their thing, and the NPC, like, you bring up that the NPC is like working diligently, right, and asks very little from you guys and all that shit, and then potentially he's just memorable because he's good at his job, right? We have a very reliable mechanic on our ship. He doesn't ask questions. He's just there, and he's good with whatever we're doing.
Mm-hmm. He does machines.
He is Donatello. He does machines.
He
that
does
is
machines,
true.
baby.
He's
a turtle.
That's right. NPCs don't all need to be snowflakes to be memorable. That's the PC's job. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The PCs will have that much more effect on the world because they are the snowflake, because they are the PC. Something has happened to make them this way, and they are doing these things in this universe, and it has an impact.
Yes.
The NPCs might have been that at one point, but they might not be that anymore, or they might become that because they're with the PCs. It's all a whole thing, and maybe they are that way just because they want something that is in line with the PC's goal. Right, and then they help them, and it gets them to a status for their small community or wherever they are, or it could be galaxy-wide, who knows.
Yeah.
They helped the big bad become the big bad by accident. Oops.
Oh, shit.
It could be anything.
Yeah. It could.
When it comes to size, is how your players are going to travel around your game world. Okay. In a city, it is fairly easy to get from one side to the other within the space of maybe a few hours.
Unless it's
But if your players are
right.
playing in a campaign that spans an entire world or even an entire galaxy, it could take days, weeks, or even months to get between places. Now, this is something you're either going to have to incorporate into your game and have that travel time be part of the game and part of the adventure for your players, or it's something you're going to have to work around with some kind of fast travel system. And then similar...
Exactly. As usual, travel, problem.
Yeah,
problem.
Travel can be difficult because, the point of travel is to get to one place, from one place to another.
Yep.
But you don't want it to be boring.
Exactly.
The instant you make it not boring, now it's taking longer.
Right. Yeah, that's it. It's one of those things where I think before I do any kind of big campaign, I'm gonna go, do we want to worry about travel?
That's one of that is a thing that you should bring up with your players.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, how do we want to do travel?
Yeah. I think that's the important thing to do instead of really worrying about it too much just on your own. Yeah. Really involve your players in that aspect and make it something that's flexible, because your players might think, let's do travel, let's have things happen while we go, and let's actually worry about it, and then when they're doing it they might go, this is a slog actually. And so then you can go, all right, let's just get there.
Let us not.
Right, exactly.
The council has spoken, we're not.
Exactly. On the one hand, I'm late. But on the other hand, at least I have food. Well, hello, Lux. Glad to have you.
Nice.
You could have PCs who aren't snowflakes, but that's unusual. Like the game I once mentioned where the players were Imperial Guardsmen on the front lines, trying to hold on as long as possible.
Oh,
Lots of re-rolling characters, but apparently an awesome time. Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't...
Yeah, that sounds great, honestly.
Yeah, I don't doubt it because, like, just
You're
being
playing as
that...
the guard. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. I feel that already just from that, the camaraderie that you're already, like... embodying because you're fucking imp guard first off, and then the amount of like fucking shit you have to deal with because you're imp guard.
Now were they all guard, or did you have like a commissar who was shooting them every now and then?
Oh right, yeah, exactly.
That'd be great. Anyway, go on.
At its size, you also want to think about the scope of your campaign. Do you want a campaign that takes place over the span of a few months, where things happen very rapidly and a lot of events are crammed into a really small space of time? Or do you want a campaign that spans decades and checks in with the characters at different points in their lives as their story progresses? Once you know...
That's an interesting one. I've never done that in the sense of having huge time skips in my campaigns.
Yeah, because you're at that point you're essentially playing a campaign where you're like JoJo. And so it's like checking in every like generation or two.
Yeah, which I think it would be cool.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
I like, and I'm also cool with like it being years down the line after, like it becomes an adventure that is multiple times they've done this big thing, but it just takes a while for them to get to the next big thing, right?
Yes.
So you come back to them every 5 years, every 10 years, because they've just been doing their own thing in the meantime, and they get back together because a big thing has happened, and they gotta get back together.
They gotta get the band back together.
It's right.
One last tour.
One last tour, 6 more times. But Death Wish 1, Death Wish 2, Death Wish 3, the last one. I mean Death Wish 4?
Yeah,
anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting idea, but I wonder how like feasible that is, because for me at least, I want to spend time with my character, right?
Yes.
Like I like my character, and I wanna be that character. Unless I fucking hate that character, I don't know.
And if you do, you probably why'd you make him that way?
I probably didn't realize I'd hate that character, and I guess I'd play a different character at that point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Thank God, a time skip.
Right. Get me
skip
out of
until his death.
Well, I mean, I'm saying even before that, like you just retire him early and just bring somebody else in. But for me, I guess the only time where this can happen is like when you're planning it out with your players, but also I'm wondering how people want to do that. Because like I said, I want to spend time with my character, and like when I spend years of downtime away from my character, I got a lot of things to say in character.
Yeah, right.
I want to do these things in character. I don't want it to be years after, unless I've had something satisfying happen, I guess. And it's an epilogue for that character, really. Because otherwise he's gonna be doing stuff. And like just saying that he's doing stuff and then making a couple of dice rolls to see if he did stuff okay or not. I don't know.
Okay. Hey, Alejo.
Yeah, hey.
It's going to be 5 years before you see this character. Sum up what he does in 2 sentences.
Fuck.
Go. No. There's no time limit, but sum it up. And hurry up because the other ones need to do it too.
That's right. Sorry.
And time's up.
Oh, fuck.
He died. Took too long.
He died of indecision. He got to a crossroads and got run over by a carriage trying to figure out to go northwest, south, or east.
Playing Shadowrun.
Oh my god. Wait, then that's even more interesting that he got run over by a carriage.
Yeah, right?
It's a cyber carriage.
Oh shit. Oh my, that would actually be pretty fucking
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's see. My group got ghosted by a DM who made a world with a lot of specific NPCs and tried to introduce this to us in the first 2 sessions. It was jarring, and he got upset when we RP'd more with each other than the massive cast of NPCs, which the first 2 sessions at level 1 would never cover, especially since he put us under a life-threatening disease we sought a cure for.
Okay.
Yeah!
That sounds awful.
That sucks!
See, now, I'm going to say something now that may get me in trouble. Not with the law.
Okay.
With internet law.
Oh my god.
I kind of fucking hated Joe Cat's campaign.
Which one was that?
His recent one, it's called the Belcanus Necro Hunt. It, just wrapped up, I think.
Okay, I never watched it.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in there is great. All the role players in there are great. They are all very nice. They are very cool. Joe Cat, I love you to death, but fuck. What he did with his campaign is something that I did not expect I would hate so much.
Okay.
Basically, what he did was he made each and every single character in his campaign, every NPC, 4-dimensional. To the point where every single time they would meet a character that was noteworthy, they would spend 2 full hours role playing with them and just talking to them, and they had all these super elaborate backstories and shit. And here's the thing, that doesn't sound like it's a bad thing, but when you watch it and when you play it, not every single NPC needs to be as deep as the player characters, if not deeper.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but I promise you, the problem was that it got to be a slog. Where every single character that had any sort of speaking dialogue, as that wasn't just a random shopkeep, had what was probably a 3-page backstory and motivation and all that.
So
now, I get it if you're doing that for a single town where the backstory of a character is very important. If you're having a quest that's taking place in a town where it's oh, you need to fucking find out who murdered who. It's a whodunit. And you actually have to learn about the backstories of every character because you need to eliminate them as murder suspects and shit like that.
Yeah, I got you.
But when every single character gets to that point, it's suffocating.
So just give me a little bit of context here just for these questions that I have.
Yes, go for it.
In the sense of, I assume they would talk and reveal all of this when they talked in the beginning when they met them?
Not really.
Okay.
But they were the kind of characters where they didn't it wasn't lore dumps. They did have to speak to them and get to know them. But it was they were the kind of characters where it was really super obvious that they had the backstory. And it's basically imagine if a plot hook was less like a fishing hook in a lake and more like it was a fishing hook in a lake that was made of diamonds and illuminated by floodlights.
Okay.
It was that kind of thing. And I don't know what it was, but I lost so much patience with the campaign because it was
so okay. Lux brings up a good point.
Okay.
It says, I didn't watch that either, but was that Joe Cat's fault, or was it the players who chose to keep interacting with those NPCs? Legitimate question, not rhetorical.
Yeah, no. Well, here's the thing. He was the one who wrote them that way.
Well, so this is okay.
Well, no. What I mean is he wrote the stories. He wrote all those backstories, and if you write the character backstory like that, it is just sitting there waiting to be found. If it gets found, you kind of, as the DM, you kind of owe it to yourself to actually go into it. But it just got to the point where it was so suffocating, where essentially every single NPC was on the backstory level of the PCs, which I think is massive overkill. I'm not saying that you can't have interesting NPCs, not at all. But when every single person is like that, it gets to be absolutely suffocating.
Okay.
Because I know it sounds weird.
Yeah,
it really sounds weird.
This really sounds like for you. This happened in this experience, right?
I think
don't
you
know.
would have to watch it.
Yeah, that's my point.
That's
I
the
don't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
So
because again, it got me in trouble. I know. Don't worry.
Well,
I'm aware of that.
No, I think our audience is at least more mature than to actually give a shit.
Yeah. So, God, I don't know what it was, but like, you know how in Devils and Dice, there are characters that are completely one note.
Sure.
And that's fine.
Yep.
It's perfectly fine to have one note characters.
Yep.
And it just felt in that campaign, it just felt like he was terrified of having characters that were one note. When you should absolutely not be afraid of that. I suppose that's really the moral of that story.
Okay.
Is that you can have NPCs that are like that, but I caution against making every single solitary one like that.
Okay.
That
I'll agree with. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to make every single NPC super highly detailed.
Right. And it's cool that you can do that.
Yes.
Like I will say, without having watched it, without any other knowledge, I commend the fact that that's the case.
That's the other thing. It is
crazy.
Impressive. It is amazing.
And I'm sure that
that's the other thing.
Yeah. I'm sure that the players appreciated it as well.
Yes, they did. They loved it.
Yeah, and like I'm sure that a lot of other people do too. And I just from hearing about it, I also appreciate it a bit. Like I think I wouldn't be the same way about it because I like just talking.
That's fair, and I like talking as well.
Right. Well, what I mean is,
sorry.
What I mean is, legitimately not doing shit in the game, but talking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I love it when you guys just sit down and role play.
Right. So, and I could do that literally every session. I could just not do anything other than that. Like, it would be really fun to me. Just because it would be interesting just to chat.
Just to, like, in character.
Right.
Shoot the shit.
And so, so I think I would probably, but at this, I don't listen to D&D campaigns anymore. I don't listen to D&D videos anymore, like on my own time, because I just don't have the time for that. And when I do, it's at work because something to do in the background, right? And so, I probably wouldn't give it as much attention as I would need to in order to form a better opinion about it. Right?
Yeah, and maybe I was looking at it from the wrong direction because I was just flat out watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a certain element to these kinds of things where some of it is background noise.
Yes.
Very much so. And like, if you're enthralled by it to the point where you want to watch it give it your full attention, that's great. Like, I commend you for that, and great. But I understand, like, in this day and age, a lot of it is used for background noise, and I'm 100% fine with that, right? Like, anything that I've done with Astatine, anything with, I assume for you with Devils and Dice, if people just listen to that in the background, that's fine.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And I don't expect there to be that much attention paid to it. But if there is, and
that is also good.
That's also good. Yeah, absolutely. And with that kind of thing, I think, at least just from my I don't know Joe Cat, I don't know the other players. I don't know their mindsets in this, but I think they're just playing just to have their own fun with it and without even thinking about it becoming a video or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And so they'll just do that shit until they're done. And
pretty much.
that's great. I'm glad they're having fun with that.
Yes.
It might not be the most entertaining thing to just sit and watch, though.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
I guess I don't really ever think of it like that in the moment because I'm like, they uploaded it, it's a video.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No,
like, they live stream it.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. And like,
yeah. Kind of forget that in the moment.
I think it's because I also have the mentality there because I stream myself. Right?
Yeah.
And I can understand, like, listening to stream VODs as background noise while I'm doing something else. So I also, like, just have that as my experience. So I'm kind of, like, in that same camp in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah. Interesting.
God.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I didn't ever think I would get that way.
No, that's fair.
Because it just got to the point where...
You
like,
found out that you have a limit.
Yes, I have an absolute hard limit on how many characters are 4-dimensional.
Right. And that is fair enough. I think it's good to find a limit.
I can only care about so many fucking people in an imaginary campaign.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Absolutely. And I can understand that entirely.
Yeah.
Okay, there were a lot of things. Sorry, everybody. I want to read all of your things. No, it's cool. You're good. Okay. So this was in response to the guard thing. I wasn't in it, so I don't recall, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were commissars. I do know that sometimes characters would get retired by being medevaced if they were lucky. I'll find the thread and post it for you, which I did see. It's in the general chat in our server.
Nice.
In Discord. So,
cool.
Let's see. I thought last time was the last time. Well, this time is the last time. Exactly.
Yeah.
Con. Exactly. Lex says, I think I've done. I've thought about doing a multi-generational campaign. For a video game example, there's Phantasy Star 3 on the Sega Genesis. It wasn't the greatest game overall, but it did that at least. What I have done in the last 5 years... what have I done in the last 5 years? Dicked around and played video games. Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I didn't watch... yeah. Okay, that was that question, right? At some point, the GM should write a book. Okay. Steely. I understand your sentiment. I wouldn't phrase it that way. Because I think that having, like, again, I think this whole idea of having everything be very fleshed out is very good.
Yes, it is a good idea. It's just...
there's a
limit.
Exactly. For some people, there's going to be a limit. And I think for his group and everything that he's done, the people don't have that limit. Right.
Yeah, they don't have either that or their limit is much higher.
Exactly. Right. So,
and they just eat that shit up.
Right. Exactly. I plan to do that with my homebrew world, says August. And hey, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, go for it. If your group likes that, go for it.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just saying that I would lose patience eventually.
Yeah. And I'm guessing I'm getting the answer now. Yes, you did. Seems like it would be fine for most campaigns, but probably wouldn't make for a good show to watch. Yeah, that's my impression.
The other thing.
That's my impression. Though, again, if other people want to watch it and they tolerate it to that extent, then yeah. I don't see. This is the thing.
It's very subjective.
It is very subjective, and honestly, doesn't fucking matter. Like,
it really doesn't.
Like, in the sense of what Boo thinks, what I think, doesn't fucking matter. Like, they will do whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
right?
This is honestly more a pet peeve of mine.
Absolutely.
And that I have found. I never really knew about it until it happened.
It has awakened something in you.
Yeah, it awoke something in me. Something that I wish stayed asleep.
Exactly.
Because it was super annoying.
The GM does have a responsibility to keep things moving. If the players want to go super deep, then seriously write something for them. Have a web form for lore or something. But in game, there is a balance between detail and pacing. So no, okay, I will push back on this straight up.
Okay.
The GM has the responsibility of arbitrating the game. That is the GM's responsibility. The players have the responsibility of setting the pace. I don't think that the GM needs to stick to a pace, unless this has been a predetermined thing that this is going to be a one shot or this is only going to last a certain amount of time, especially in something like this where it seems to be a freeform show. Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
100% no.
Now, how, out of curiosity, how do you feel about analysis paralysis then?
What do you mean in what context?
If your players are caught deep in the throes of analysis paralysis, is there ever a point where you step in?
So if a player is having analysis paralysis, I think
it's not a player. It's the party. It's the whole thing.
I see. If the party is having analysis paralysis, that is a different story, I think, because in that respect, they just they don't know, they don't have enough information to go on, or at least they have been overthinking it, right? In which case, I think.
And so then, do you step in and say, "Hey,
so
blah blah blah"?
So, in that respect, I think that you're not setting the pace. You're just making sure that everyone is
aware or informed.
More so that it's like you're trying to figure out where they've stumbled up, or what's happened here to get you to that point.
And addressing any confusion.
Exactly. I don't think it's a bad thing for them to step in and try to usher the players in a direction or anything. I just think that overall they're going to have fun. And however long it takes for them to have that fun is the amount of time it's going to take, right? And so you're not putting them on a timetable if you give them a little push. You're just saying, I see you're having some difficulty here. I want to help you.
Allow me to explain.
Yes, exactly. But again, that's just my perspective on it. It could be totally off from other people's perspectives, right? I also don't think that it's a bad thing for you to have a pace, right?
No.
If you're going to set a pace and everybody's cool with the pace, fucking great. Glad they want you to go at that pace, you go at that pace. But they are the ones who decide that in that sense with you, right?
Yes.
Not you deciding the pace itself.
Yeah.
Having too many NPC snowflakes bloats the game with options and feels like a waste when the PCs don't interact with them, or makes it more about the DM and their NPCs than the players. So it can. It depends, right?
It depends on their threshold of enjoyment.
Yes.
Because if they enjoy it, then it's still about them. It's just I reached the point where it was too much.
Right, exactly. And for them, every snowflake was a fucking thing to marvel, which is great for them. I'm glad.
And again, I can't stress enough, it's very impressive. It's good writing, too. All of them were very unique characters. They're all really cool. They're fully fleshed out. He had voices, distinct voices for all of them.
Cool.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
I just lost patience. That's it.
Is that a sense of why couldn't there have been just that was mechanic, why couldn't there have been that bleh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Start over.
Yes. Is that sense of why couldn't there have been just that mechanic that stays to himself and does his job in the back with the party? Okay. I assume in the sense of you're responding to Boo saying he was having too much too many four-dimensional characters, and why isn't there just someone who is just there?
Yeah, it just felt like, because I always when I started to lose patience, Because it was almost every single person.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to the point where I was like, this person doesn't have to be this detailed. They can just be a silent shopkeeper that's like, okay, check out my wares. And then they buy shit and then they leave.
Right.
Because for me, it felt like everything was getting bogged down with, like, because they do, like, I want to say it was like 3 to 4 hour sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Like a full hour and a half would be them role-playing with just NPCs.
Just that NPC. Yep.
Just that NPC. And the thing is, if it was just that NPC, or maybe like 2 or 3, fine. Like their main characters, absolutely you should role-play with them. But it was every single person.
Right.
Everybody.
Right.
And I just got sick of it. It would be like if every single character, every single person in Dis was as fleshed out as Tharnanar.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Now, Alejo might love that.
I would.
You would probably love that.
Yeah.
But not everybody does.
Right.
And
I don't totally fair.
Yeah, and it's And so again, you might love it, and other people might be like, holy shit, 1 billion Tharnanars? Sign me the fuck up.
Right, yeah.
But that's not me.
Mm-hmm. Totally fair. Correct. I can understand that. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a time skip, but I once heard the campaign idea where the PCs are Winter Soldier. Wizards wake you up, you do some murder, wizards put you to sleep for another 100 years, repeat. Not a time skip.
So you're a fucking, what's it called? What the hell are the assassins? The scary ones with the skulls.
Scary ones with the skulls.
In 40K?
Oh,
the ones that get woken up out of
yeah, the assassinorum.
Eversur. You're an Eversur assassin.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
you're
right.
an Eversur assassin because you're just pumped full of drugs and they put you in cryo sleep.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, wake up and murder all these people. Fucking let's go.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you're an Eversur assassin. I would not want to be an Eversur assassin.
God, no. You'd be fucked forever.
Yep.
You would never know anything other than kill.
And
yes.
And drugs.
Yeah. My book wouldn't be a campaign to play, but a homeworld setting I'd like to share with others to play in. Only thing is the choice of system to base it on. Well, fair enough. Yeah, go for it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I was being dickish, a bit dickish about the GM writing a book, though certainly if they have more story in them than they can get out of the game, they have a good opportunity to write one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So by pacing, I mean that you should take into account how the party as a whole is enjoying things, and if like one person wants to go deep into dialogue, you could take that to a forum or one-on-one. By no means would I suggest rushing or pushing things. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up. I would agree if it is like a minority of the party is like, oh, I want to really talk to this person only. Yeah. Right? And like, that's all I want to do today. And then everybody else was like, yeah, but I want to go to the shop, and then I also want to go kill the dragon, and I also want to, and right, like, and so I'd be like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so we'll do, and then you pull the player side, like, we'll do the regular session, and then later on, we'll have, like, we can, like, one-on-one that shit.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Like that. And I agree with you in that sense. And I'm sorry that I came across a little strongly before. But
Killer Man strong.
What the
fuck is Aiden?
Dead.
Staying forever.
Again.
He's dead again?
Yeah, again.
Got another fucking car wreck. Christ.
All right. As a general rule, I would say that if you do something to make your campaign better, but it's not something the players want, that's counterproductive. Yes. I will note, though, that I once spent an entire real-world month in a party that was standing on a barge doing nothing but talking, both in and out of character, and that wasn't fun for me. And that's fair enough, yeah. And I guess I'd better stop sidetracking the video and start heading off to work. Well, you're good looks. Don't worry.
Oh, I thought that was you, Alejo.
No, that's not me. Yeah. You think I care to keep going? God.
Yeah, right? This video is so far removed from the video we're watching at this point.
But no, this is the thing. We all have our limits. We all have, our own tastes, and it's fair enough.
And so, in your homebrew world, be sure you find out your players.
Yeah, in the sense, like, this is the thing. In your homebrew world, if you want to have everybody be detailed, just know how your players are going to react to it. Because, and like, share as much as your players will care to listen to. Right?
Yes. And find out, like, if your characters players are into that. Find out if they want hyper detailed NPCs, or if they are more comfortable with, like, nameless shopkeep.
Right. And this is the thing. Even if they don't want those hyper details, you can still have them there and be pleased with yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? There's nothing wrong with it.
Because the thing is, you can absolutely, agreed.
Yeah. Judo 2007 says, your Monster Hunter 1 Let's Play was poggers, my dude.
Oh my god, it was awful. What are you on about? It was shitty! It was really fucking hard, though.
Are you guys keeping Aiden in cryo sleep until you need to awaken him to send him after bad videos with his razor wit? Yes.
Yes.
Every time. Yep.
Yeah, yes. Just
sometimes we get him early, sometimes we get him later.
Yeah, it just depends on when the narcotics stop working.
That's right. All right, let's continue.
Fucking hell.
The tone, the setting, the size and the scope of your campaign, it's time to think, how do you want to start planning? You've got two major options here, which I call narrow and wide. Okay. Starting narrow would be making a single tone. You don't worry about the wider world, you don't worry about who's in power, what's happening in other countries. You focus on a single location and the people and events in that location. If you're a brand new DM, or you've got a brand new group of players, or if you're short on time, starting narrow is a really great way to go because it focuses your creativity into a small area rather than you spending time creating things half a world away that your players might never even reach. If you're interested in this kind of campaign beginning, I have an entire video where I made a starting town and put it out as a free PDF, which you can see.
Oh, it's a free PDF
too. The other option is to start wide, and that means create.
By the way, I have very little to say about this because we covered this last week.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Really, overall, yeah, you can do it either way. Very cool.
Yeah, also, you should watch the last video. I think we have ads on that, right?
No, we don't.
Okay.
And I hope not, because otherwise somebody's stealing our views for ad revenue, I guess.
Yeah.
Go check out last week's podcast, I guess.
Don't worry, that's just Devils and Dice. It's getting shit stolen from it.
That's right.
Most of the entire world before your players ever step foot into it. This method is certainly a lot more work, but it has the benefit of placing your players into a world that really does feel real and lived in because so much of it is developed. You know who the gods are, you know who is in power 3 towns over, and you know a lot of the little details that they might be likely to ask, and there's a certain amount of history to your world that your players can draw on when creating their characters, or
draw on history. It's history.
NPCs out in the world. This method is also great if you just enjoy the process of world building. Historic. If you spend time thinking about fantasy worlds and different realms and realities anyway, this can be almost like a second hobby in itself. You can further the world of your D&D campaign, but you can also really enjoy doing it almost like a separate entity. If you start wide, just make sure to leave some mystery to the world.
Yes.
Don't write out every single little thing, and make sure to leave some things unwritten so that there's things the players can discover and influence and help you create as you go on, so that it doesn't just feel like they are pawns playing in your sandbox. You want them to feel like it's a real world without them feeling like they can't do anything to impact it.
And obviously the things that you've written down can also be influenced by the players.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, just Just one of those things.
Yeah, they can influence it, and
Yeah.
it's super cool when they do.
Yeah.
Unless they influence it in a way that you don't like, and that sucks.
Yeah, but gotta deal with it.
Yeah, I know.
And there's one more major thing that I think it's worth thinking about before you start the process of designing your homebrew campaign, and that's where you ideally want it to end. Thinking about where you want your campaign to end before you started writing really helps keep that in mind as you go forward, so that you can use it as a constant reference point. If you know where you would like the story to end, it's easier for you to write events that help foreshadow it or inform the players about what might be coming. If you know, for example, that your players are going to be facing Tiamat at the end of the campaign, you can start laying the groundwork for that really early on.
It's not the end.
I know. It's
Otherwise,
funny.
I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, right, no.
So that when the players reach the end of the campaign and they're facing Tiamat, everything seems cohesive and planned, instead of just being a mishmash of stories that have been thrown together. I find it helps to think about your campaign as a television show. Each adventure is akin to an episode where it tells a small and isolated story, but then you also have your larger narratives that span multiple episodes and result in a character defining moment or a particular event that changes the status quo for your players. And then finally, across multiple seasons, you might have the big bad at the end of it all that results in your finale. And as you get there, you realise that there have been hints of it ever since episode or adventure number 1. You don't need to know how you're going to get to this finale, this ending of your campaign, but having an idea of where you want to get to really helps you sow some seeds earlier on and inform the choices that certain NPCs and other characters might make.
And that's how I do a lot of my writing, actually.
There you go. Yep.
By
I remember
starting
many a
at the
time.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's a very good way to do it because you know where things are going.
Yes. It works best, obviously, if you have an actual real story in mind. It doesn't help very much in a sandbox.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Because
the
in a sandbox,
man.
you guys are the sandboxmen. I am very bad at sandboxes. Although I know I want to try one in the future with 7C. That should be really fun.
Yeah.
As long as I don't fuck it up.
Yeah, it's because the end for a sandbox for me is where we something that I haven't even visualized on the first session. I have no fucking idea. It's not until I would probably say until I've had a good amount of time with these players and their characters and knowing what their
You're just
choices.
Fucking sick of them.
Right, until I hate them so much that I want them to die, so I figure out the end.
I just want them to fucking. Just want it to be over. Jesus.
But yeah, it's just that's just not how I do it usually.
Yeah.
By now, you know what system you're going to be playing, what genre of game you're going to be playing, what the tone, size, and scope of your game is going to be, and how you ideally want it to end. The next step is the creating itself, and that's what we're going to be starting with next week. Over the course of the coming weeks, I'm going to be creating a fantasy homebrew D&D campaign setting, and I'll be showing you every single step of my process along the way.
Cool.
So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the latest videos on this homebrew campaign series, and be sure to let me know in the comments what aspects of homebrew campaign making you'd like me to focus on so that you can get some tips and some inspiration from them. But until next time, happy gaming.
Seems like a right fine chap.
Yeah, I liked that video.
Yeah.
Good job, Icarus Games.
Good job, Icarus. Don't burn your wings.
That's right.
Another one. Don't have many of them.
Yeah, that's right. And I also appreciate, and you know what? Chat, look what I'm doing. Look at this. You see that? You see this subscribe button? I clicked it.
Oh my god.
Because he said at the end, after he's done his whole thing, and I respect that. And also, I usually subscribe to the channels that we cover. Just because, I mean, we've covered them, and also we've given them time. But now is especially
because of principle. Yeah, now because it's
principle, and also I want to set a good example. If you haven't yet, I feel like this guy's content, just from this first little viewing, pretty good. And honestly, that whole series that he's done, this is episode 0 of that series, maybe it'll give you some inspiration with your homebrew world, if you have any trouble.
By the way, when you started that whole spiel, I expected you to say something different, and I'm so sad, but also because like you were like, I subscribe to him and I want to set the example, you know? And after that, I was so expecting you to say, I set the example by subscribing, so subscribe to us.
Oh God, no.
That would have been hilarious.
No, I forget to do that most of the time.
Yeah, it's just me and Aiden. Without us, we wouldn't have any subscribers. We're the only ones asking.
That's true.
No, you ask at the end.
Yeah, usually, if I remember. If you just run a series of published modules with the same group of characters, that can make for a pretty episodic format. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another way to do it. Especially if you just set them all in the same world.
It'd be kind of pricey, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because modules tend to be a touch expensive.
Yeah. I'll subscribe too. Make it a good thing to get visited by the table flipping brigade. Hell yeah, Steely. Yeah. That's right. Flip his table.
Yeah. Fucking rate him with subs.
That's right. So yeah, good video, I think, overall.
Yes.
Pretty helpful and good for discussion. So it's that was an hour, but it's the midpoint,
mostly because of me.
Well, no, it's fine. But that's the midpoint because I have one other video for us to cover, but we'll get there. So midpoint, hello, it's time for the shouting outs and the shilling. Yes. Wow, crazy that. It happens on occasion. Did you know?
Yes.
Did you know out there in TV land that we have a Patreon?
What the fuck?
I know, isn't it crazy?
I haven't heard of this.
That's right. None of the other hosts know, and they'll continue to not know as long as I keep giving them pills.
Yeah. So, Alejo,
hello.
Please, where can I find this Patreon?
Patreon.
Where?
It is over at patreon.com/TableTalk DND, specifically with an N in the middle there. Yes. Because they don't allow ampersands in like anything ever anywhere. It's great. I love it. So
wait, is that what that's called?
Yes, an ampersand. Yes.
An ampersand.
Ampersand, yes.
I always thought it was just the and symbol.
Basically the same thing, yes.
Okay.
So I learned the word once and I never remembered or I never forget.
Now. So, if I donate to this Patreon, do I get anything?
Well, you get a shout out if you're at tier 5 and tier 2 and up. Excuse me, with the $5 and up. Well, the other thing, is you get a little thing in our Discord. If you join our Discord, you can access the little Patreon chat that I swear to God, one day I will say something in there to you patrons. I promise. These fucks the other fucks, they'll never do so because they don't.
Yeah, no, they'll never do that.
No, they don't go on Discord.
Yeah, no, I'm never on Discord. What the fuck is Discord?
That's right. And of course, when our custom dice come out, all of our patrons that are at tier 2 and up will get a free copy.
Oh boy.
They will get a full set of TableTalk dice.
Oh my God.
That's right.
Are they metal?
No, they're probably not going to be metal because metal is way more expensive, my friend.
Oh my God, yeah, actually, how much would it have been if you went metal?
I don't want to know.
Holy shit, it'd be like $10,000.
Right, exactly. Shit. And I don't, that's
10,000 galactic credits.
That's right. If I had 10,000 galactic credits, I would have gone for the metal ones.
Goddamn right.
But that being said, that leads me to thanking all these lovely patrons that have subscribed to the Patreon. That is, of course, Draco Kraken at tier 4. Thank you so much. Mog Zero, also at tier 4. Thank you very much. Slazer at tier 4. Thank you as well. Steely at tier 4. Thank you so much. Drake Cross at tier 3. Thank you.
Yes.
Chris at tier 2. Thanks. Frozen Spaghetti at tier 2. Thank you.
Arigato.
That's right. Kill Chrono at tier 2. Thank you.
Danke.
That's right. And I see Lux, you've changed your name to be at the bottom of the list. Lux, the scoundrel now, at tier 2. Thank you. I'm waiting.
I don't know any other thank yous, unfortunately.
Grazie.
I know it in... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Italian.
Yeah, that's Italian. I should know that.
So thank you to all of you who have joined
Indeed.
the Patreon. You are contributing towards that dice fund. It is steadily climbing, and we will get there at some point. And I will let you know the moment that we get there.
Yes.
And Raid, increase his subs by a whole dozen. Yes, exactly. Do so.
Yeah, right.
He's at like 20,000 or so, or he's not at 20,000. Get him to 20,000. I don't know. Whatever. Get him up there.
We don't have that many.
Yeah, we don't.
He should raid us.
That's
He
okay.
should raid us.
No. That's okay.
I mean, he could.
If he wants to, but I will not ask for it.
Yeah.
No.
I will. Raid us.
No, God.
There we go.
You get to go to sleep each nice night, I assume, with the wonderful sense of accomplishment that comes with knowing that you are helping to keep quality content going on YouTube. Aw. Thanks, Steely.
Yeah.
Are we there yet, says Xmarov? No, I'm going to turn this car around if you ask again. Welcome.
I'll turn this podcast right around.
That's
We're
right.
gonna reverse it.
That's right.
It's gonna be in fucking reverse.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just play the what I've recorded right now, but backwards.
Yeah, you won't be able to understand anything.
That's right. Otherwise, we'd be stuck with car interiors, olives, and an illusion of choice. That's right. You're right about that. Dice, yes, I'm a fan of this. Good, yes. So, other than that, of course.
That was a sales tactic.
No.
It's like, hey, people like clicky clacky math.
People do like
Let's do
clicky
that.
clacky math rocks, and I've wanted to get them set, so they're coming. I promise you. Once we get there. Don't make me refund all your money. That's right. Are we there yet? Says August. Oh, you don't know what you've wrought. We'll get there, but you don't know.
What has God wrought?
Oh,
what has science wrought?
We'll get there. Anyway, so other than that, you can support us through buying a TableTalk logo on whatever from TeePublic, whatever they sell, whether that be shirt, mask, cup, notebook, all that kind of stuff.
I can't afford a new laptop.
That's you can get a laptop case.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's a thing. A percentage of each sale will go towards the artist who created our logo as well. So do so. And of course, we are partnered with Humble Bundle, which I just bought the VR Discovery Bundle because I have VR and I like VR games. So I bought it, and it's got a bunch of things in there.
By the way, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
Speaking of VR, did you ever play Dagon?
I haven't played Dagon yet. No, I'm going to cry if I do so. I know it. I will fucking die.
I hope it's good. Fuck.
I imagine that it's good enough for me to fucking scream. So
it's fucking Dagon, baby.
Yes,
I
exactly.
loved that story.
That story is really good. Yeah. I'll turn this starship right around if you ask again about funding our space credit TM goal for the clicky clackies. That's right. But yeah, so if you buy through our link, which is in the description, you can support us and Tabletop Alliance, the charity that uses tabletop games to help communities and all of that good stuff. Their link to their website is also in the description for you to learn more. And also you can get games. Fucking win-win, dude.
We like games.
I like games. You like games. Everyone likes games.
Our whole thing is about games.
That's right. And a lot of the times they have stuff for tabletop games and also audiobooks and comics and stuff. So there's a lot here, honestly. Yeah. They've branched out from when they were just games way back in the day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really great. I love these guys. And last but not least, I haven't talked about it for a while, and I do apologize about that. But in the description, and all of that, and in our Discord, I think it's still there somewhere. And I'll repost it today after the stream. There is a couple of drawings things, or sorry, there is a drawing and a survey thing. For those of you who haven't done it yet. The drawing is because we've had we're in year 3 of TableTalk,
which is weird.
Which is fucking bizarre and awesome.
Yes.
So you can draw or enter the drawing so that you can get a signed hard copy of a book of your choice that is under $100.
That's right.
That is signed by all 3 of us. All 3 of the
kind of a
tabletop.
logistical nightmare, but
it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
So yeah. Let me go to the form right now for you to look at, friends. Where the fuck is the form? There it is. I found it. So this is it. You will be able to tell us the stuff, do the thing, and I will be drawing it next week.
You'll be drawing the whole book.
That's right. I'll be doing the drawing next week, next podcast episode, during the midpoint. So
as long as he remembers,
I will remember.
Okay.
Because that is the time. The time up at that point. That is the time limit. That's the word. I got there in the end.
Yeah.
So please do that if you want a free book, basically.
And I'll say it again. I already said it once, but if any of you motherfuckers choose Cyberpunk Red, I'm gonna be so mad because I don't even have that yet, and I want it so bad.
I know. Oh, I didn't tell you about. I got the full set in PDF form actually. So. Yes, I do have the PDFs for that. It'll be great.
Nice.
But anyway, can I get 1 out of 3 autographs for free? This is already free. You literally just put your information
All you gotta do is all you gotta do is just give us your credit card number.
That's right, and the wacky 3 digits on the back.
Yeah.
But no. Legitimately, I hope that has been clear this whole time. This is free. For you.
This is something that you can win.
Yes, I will get this for you. And all the shipping and everything, and I will get you information when I have tracking information and all of that.
Yes.
But otherwise, yeah. So enter that, and the other thing is the choosing your favorite TableTalk episode. That was the other one, because I was interested, and you know what? When I'm interested in something, I usually find out about it.
Well, see, here's the thing: it's gonna be one of the meme videos,
probably, and I'm okay with that.
It will be either Cody, Garibay, or the other guy that we shit on all the time. I know there's a third one. It's not Guy.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a fair amount, but it's going to be one of them.
Maybe. But yes, so that is also in the description. If you haven't filled that out yet, please do so. And if you don't, that's also fine. This was made at the time, so these are all the episodes from the past 2 years. And then at the end of this year, I will make another one for this 3rd year. So we'll keep up with that, because I want to know what people like.
Yes.
And we got some responses already, and yeah, it'll be great. I'll look at that as well. Probably next week. Yeah. Steely says, I chose 7th Sea thanks to the recommendation from here. I think it was Boo.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I
Yeah.
want to play it. But
That's right.
we've been playing D&D, and then we
That's
got Call of
right.
Cthulhu, and then
That's right. That guy who's a nerd, that's the one you shit on. Thank you, August. Yes.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I remember
That's the
him.
one.
Remember that video?
Yeah. It's really bad.
I distaste.
Right. Much distaste.
Yes.
Um,
much bad.
That's right. But anyway, again, thank you very much to everybody who's been watching so far, who's tuned in, and everybody
thank you for your money.
who's subscribed and all of that. Please, if you want that book, please do so to get in that drawing, because otherwise you're not gonna have a chance, and that sucks. And I want to make sure
Alejo's only gonna draw it once.
Yes, I am only gonna draw one.
It's a lot of work to
that's
draw
right.
an entire...
I'm gonna put it all on a wheel, and I'm gonna spin the wheel. And you know what? The wheel itself was already generated by another site. So...
Oh, we got a wheel?
No.
Oh.
I mean, it's a wheel that you can just go and find. Like that's
yeah.
it. It's
Well,
just
I mean,
there.
like, we're gonna have a wheel.
Yes, I will put the wheel up on screen, and it will spin and make the click, 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 click noise.
Hell yeah, dude.
So, enter for your chance to win.
Wait, how big can you make the wheel?
I don't know. Not as big as the window is that it can be in.
Oh, well, I mean,
I don't know.
I guess what I mean is how many different things can it be?
Oh, as many as I put in on there, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I might have to do that when I do my Cthulhu shit.
Yeah, totally.
I have plans for that.
Fuck yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'll send you the site.
No, I mean, it's gonna be years from now. So
okay,
send it to me
fair
later.
Okay, I'll remember the site.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, let us move on. Aiden still has not showed up. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's not shown up. Send him a message. Ask him where he is.
He might have gone to bed instead, which is fine.
Uncommunicative son of a bitch. I wish he would just say, "Hey, I'm going to bed. I'm sorry." No, he does it silently.
Yeah, that's right. It's fine.
Who the hell sleeps quietly? No.
Wheel of morality. Turn. Tell us the lessons that we should learn. Exactly.
Oh, God.
Exactly. Okay, so let us move on to the next video.
Indeed.
It is, as I go over here and make some stuff go away so that I can bring up this in a second here when I get the link. It is going to be from Dungeon Class.
Ooh. Oh, wait, is this? No, it's not.
No.
Oh, it was him! It was him!
Who?
With the Dungeon Craft or whatever?
Oh, Dungeon Craft? Yeah, Dungeon Craft.
Yeah, I remember him with
the...
Yeah. Oh, man. You roll the dice, and now everything is a 20.
Oh, a 13, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
That's right. I forgot about that. That was weird.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is Dungeon Class. Did we cover them once before? I think we did.
The name doesn't ring a bell, but they actually do.
Yeah.
They look familiar.
I believe we covered one of their videos. This was a while ago at this point, though, so
it was a very long time ago.
I don't know. Let me just quickly go to this little filter here and put in Dungeon Class. We did. It was episodes... There were two of them. Episode 53 and 59. Looks like it was...
Now we have a database.
That's right. Some 6th ed speculation and why D games stop at level 10. That's right, because they had some 6th ed speculation at that point. Yes. And fixing the 5e Ranger and reasons why our games suck. Which was... no, that wasn't them. Okay. Oh, it just took Dungeon... Okay, I see. So it was just that one time. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyway. Oh, it got class and dungeon in that. That's why, because we used class.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, gotcha. the teacher dude you want to punch in the face, that's the other guy. That's right.
Yeah, that's the other
Dungeon
guy.
Craft. Don't punch teachers. They have it hard enough. Yes, that is true.
They do.
That is very
My
true.
mom's a teacher.
Yeah. Teachers. Oh, man.
It sucks.
I felt bad for them when COVID started because it fucked so many of them.
Yep, it certainly did.
Anyway.
Fucked a lot of people.
That's right.
Not me, though.
That's
I was
right.
an essential worker.
That's right. All right. So, here we go. How to start your homebrew campaign, Dungeons & Dragons 5e, D&D, Dungeon Class. By Dungeon Class. I understand why you did that in the title. It's for searchability, SEO.
Yes.
Oh.
Good day, class. I'm Mark.
I'm Gonzo.
And today we're talking about
That's not
how
a
to
real
start
name.
your homebrew campaign.
Keep it.
All right,
down.
Gonzo.
No, never mind.
You know how it is. You had session 0. You're ready to start preparing because the first night of your campaign's coming. And so you go crazy with it. You design your continent. I picked my pantheon. I know that the main city, the system of government is a monarchy. I know the money system that they take on this continent. I have it all
Credit
nailed down.
cards. Oh.
Holy shit, you've already got money systems and all that?
Yeah,
Wow.
holy shit.
That's crazy.
And you did that inside of 1 week after your session 0? That's bullshit.
That's some shit, my dude. You didn't even think about the world until then? Wow.
Yeah.
That's
you
weird.
should have your that's okay. Is that something normal?
What, having a money system beforehand?
No, starting a campaign and having a session 0 before you even have your world.
I think that could be normal, yeah. Because
That sounds so fucking alien to me.
that's fair enough. I wouldn't do it either because I would like to have things set in something that I've already made. But
Yeah.
because I can have the tone be adaptable to whatever, and usually
Yeah.
I know the system that we want to go for beforehand because people just tell me the interest.
Yeah.
And so, but I think it's not improbable at all because at that point it really depends on your creative limits, right?
Yeah.
How good are you at getting that shit together? And this is the other thing. You might have done your session 0, quote unquote, in the sense of you talked about it a lot beforehand, and then you're going to take a little while to prepare, a couple of weeks, or
Yeah.
The session 0, oddly enough, might not even come anywhere close to when you start.
Yeah.
It
no,
depends,
that I
right?
can totally see.
Yeah, I think that's something that I don't think anybody has mentioned. Neither does anybody really think about, because it just depends on the prep time that whoever is going to run your thing needs.
Yeah.
Usually, more often than not, the person who's going to be running it is probably prepared beforehand with
Yeah.
something, right? But if you're brand fucking
That's
not
true.
brand new, well, brand new will definitely have this as a case. Hey guys, what the fuck do we want to do? I want to do something, right?
Yeah.
And then probably get it all set. Not having a decent idea of your world would make it hard to get your players set up. Yes, this is the other
Indeed.
thing. This seems like if you were to do that, it would be just brand new. Absolutely,
Yeah.
everyone is brand new. Expectations are high because everyone watched something or has heard of it from someone else or whatever. And potentially it could all come crashing down. Who knows?
Indeed. It might.
But it'll be fun regardless, I think.
Yeah.
And
Unless it's not.
Unless
In
it's
which
not,
case,
in which case,
oof.
ooh.
And then
That's
which case,
okay.
oof.
That's okay. It's a learning experience, right?
Not for Garabag.
Oh, I would
He was
never
perfect
speak
from
such
the beginning.
ills of our Lord. Never.
He was perfect from the very beginning.
That's right.
When the Virgin Mary didn't technically give birth to him.
That's right. Technically. So
That's a sentence.
that is right. That was something that was uttered on this fucking show.
Yep. Along with many, many other things.
Many things have been uttered.
Yes.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing. If you're very good at coming up with this stuff very quickly, if that is a time limit concern, then that works, I guess. It really just depends on the person.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
What generally happens is
maybe your player has a sailor background and says, yeah, I want to take a ship and go away from this continent. We want to go and explore the open ocean.
Yeah,
and see what happens. So
the point is, you can go crazy if that's what you want to do. There are people who love to make maps. There are people that love to research all this stuff.
Yes.
You can do that, but just fair warning, they're probably going to do something that you're not expecting, like go off somewhere else, go explore somewhere
probably.
else. And so
they just will.
What you need to know, we're going to talk about is how to start small. And we recommend to start small and start basic, and then
to build your campaign,
build out from there. Right. So what are we going to need as a minimum for first night?
Well, building a campaign, we mentioned before that the Dungeon Master's Guide is all about building a campaign, and it talks about every one of those things, whether it's picking your pantheons all the way down to the cities and drawing maps and all of that.
Right.
And that's great, and that's fun to do, but a lot of us...
Wait, the DMG has guides on drawing maps? Is that true?
Maybe. Let me
That sounds
look.
interesting and useful.
Yes,
get it, Book Monkey.
It's downstairs, so I'll get my other copy.
Okay.
Because I have a physical copy. Everyone's heard it at one point. I have opened it.
I used to have one. I actually gave it to a friend who wanted to start DMing.
That's right. I remember you talking about that.
I didn't use it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So
what's funny is that, like, I told him from the very beginning, it's like, it's useful, but you don't actually really need it. It's like, I'd like to have it anyway.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
It's and then I'm like, okay, sure. And then I gave it to him a couple weeks ago, or a couple weeks later. He's like, yeah, I didn't really need this.
Fair enough.
It was great. It's like, yep.
By maps, do they mean... Oh, Appendix C, maps, 310. There you go. 310 in your DMG if you're looking. Oh, okay, these are...
Is it just like basic battle maps?
Yeah, these seem to be basic maps, and then it says... part of the appendix is creating a map for your adventures. An adventure is fun, challenging, and time-consuming endeavor. However, unless you have something specific in mind, you're better off conserving your time and energy by repurposing an existing map. Published adventures and the internet are a terrific source for maps. A few samples are included here as well. Use them as you will. Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's pretty sweet. I didn't know that.
That's not bad advice right there. It's the appendix, so if you get there.
Yeah, that's not smart. I feel like I shouldn't have put it there.
Yeah, so it really depends.
They should have put that in the same place as like how to build a world and shit.
Yeah,
the appendix.
Let me look at, because they have creating a multiverse. They have a world of your own that's the very first chapter.
Yeah, that's what it should be there.
Yeah, mapping your campaign, page 14. Maybe that. Maybe that.
Jesus.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay, so this has it here. It's not just it's remember when they always talk about how you create towns with this and stuff?
Yeah.
That's what they're meaning. It's the map in a general sense of everything on the map.
I see.
So, yeah, it is here, and it does have like the forms of government and all that stuff. So it's something we know about and we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Oh! Hello.
We thought you fell asleep, you big bastard.
No, I just finished a job application writing, I think, the most bitching cover letter I've ever wrote.
Fuck yeah.
Upon further review, when I looked at the PDF, it went on to the, like, there is a cover letter is supposed to be 1 page. But mine is technically 2 pages because the beginning of the second page is literally just my name. It's the last line is "Thank you in advance for your time and consideration," and then the second line, like on to new page, a nail.
Right? Yeah. Fair enough.
But yeah.
Well,
and
welcome
now
to
everybody
the
in the podcast knows your last name.
That's right.
That is true.
You absolute fool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream, though.
Yes.
Hello.
There are lots of Aiden Hales.
That is true.
Indeed.
There are too many of them.
But how many of them?
There are too many of them.
how many of those Aiden hails have anything to do with the Führer himself?
That's right.
I don't think there's anything linking my actual name
No, I know.
with.
Good.
I've been very careful
That-
to
yeah, it's true.
avoid.
Yeah, I know.
Given.
Well, welcome. We are on the second video of the show.
Yes.
Kindly give me Linkus.
Well, you can find
It's in
that,
the
Linkus.
it's in the Discord, you big bastard.
Yeah, I will give you Linkus to the stream, like you usually desire.
Yes.
I will give you that one, and then I'll give you the chat link, which is over here.
Merci.
There you go. Have that, friend.
Thank you.
You mean seahorse?
That's right.
Now,
Now I'm imagining Aiden submitting the cover letter to the sound of a ripping guitar riff. There you go.
Hell yeah.
Very good.
And I just am every time I think every time I hear about Aiden job hunting, it just brings me back to that filthy Frank meme that I sent him.
Fair enough. All right, so we are like a minute and a half in, yeah.
Yes.
So far, it's been
basic shit.
Yeah, very basic. You make a map. Start small. If you're newer, I think.
Yes.
Has been the thing so far. So yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. So my internet waited until the express moment I joined the call to start shitting itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's fair.
As it goes. Also, a quick note, by the way. Today is the beginning of the new season in Destiny.
Okay.
As well as the launch of the Witch Queen DLC, which is supposed to be the biggest DLC that there's been since Beyond Light, which happened 3 years ago.
Yep.
So I am 100% going to be playing Destiny while this goes on.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it. You when is this a new thing? No, it's not.
Yeah,
you've done this a couple of times.
I have done it a couple of times, just not recently.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't give a shit. You can still still have proven yourself to pay attention and be able to have a conversation. So
I mean, hell, this entire time I've been painting my minis. So
yeah, as long as you're not playing the game audio in your microphone, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, it should be.
I think.
Yeah,
I might request it at some point. But we'll see. Anyhow, there we go.
Or playing maybe for the first time as DMs, and it seems so overwhelming.
It is.
Why can I not hear audio?
Our advice would be to
That's why.
Oh, did you have it low for yourself?
It's because I'm dumb.
That's right.
Oh.
Fresh and to start with something small and build out. And I think that the best way to do that is what you really need for one night's worth of gaming is 2 to 4 encounters, which we'll say 3.
Right.
It depends on the size of your group. If you have a lot of people playing, you may only have time to run through 1 or 2. Yeah. And if you have a smaller group, maybe 4 would work. Right. But generally 3 is a good number.
Smaller.
So you need a hook to bring them into the game, and then plan for 2 to 4 encounters. So we recommend pretty much 3 is a good round number to see. And so when we talk about encounters,
okay, I was about to ask, like, what? I hope you are not going to just say combat.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We're talking about traps, puzzles, social interactions, some kind of social negotiation kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Exploration,
mastery. Yeah, all of those things are part of the things you can choose from. So you sit down and you're planning, like, how am I going to choose that?
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, an encounter is something that takes up time at your table.
Right.
So, the old joke is you can travel 100 miles in 2 minutes, and you can go about 10 feet in an hour because you're checking for traps every foot and everything, right?
True. I've had
so an encounter is something that takes up a bit of time. It's the players negotiating back and forth with each other, deciding what to do, how to do it, and then following through. And
typically things take longer than you might think.
They talk over each other more than we do.
5 minutes.
Oh well, they're having a conversation, and that's fair.
They
enough.
are with the camera.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to say, well, with each other. Come on.
I know.
And plus, it feels a lot more natural that way. And
It does.
I'm
It
fine with
absolutely does.
So so far, bang on, fucking good so far. There's nothing that I have, unfortunately, to say otherwise.
It's a common occurrence.
Yep, you're doing well. Keep going.
Yep. You're doing the God's work.
That's right.
Doing the Great Horde Rat's work.
That's right.
Yeah, they'll easily see the red feather, which should lead them to the coat that lady was wearing.
Yeah, that's no problem. No, that could go a full
like,
hour.
oh, that's nice. They'll collect it and move on.
Right. Yeah, so things don't always go to plan.
Yeah.
So, but it should typically a lot of these things take a lot longer. So if you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, 3 encounters, that's not much," well, we're going to kind of walk you through what that looks like, and I think you can see that this can really start to take a long period of time, and really there's a lot to go on in just 3 encounters. So.
Okay, so before we go on. Yes, speak.
I feel bad because every single time that we watch a video on TableTalk, I'm like, oh, I have relevant experience from literally this last week. But by the way, if anyone is listening who is a member of my game, leave because I'm going to discuss spoilers.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
So give him a countdown.
That's right.
3, 2, 1, get the fuck out.
That's right.
Okay, now you're good.
So, I had we'll go through my list of encounters that were in the session.
Sure.
There was a social encounter with some guards. The party recently had cleared out a dungeon of druids, and then the rogue had like a mental breakdown at the fact that he is a child and he has killed his first person.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. But the party has the situation of walking to the guardhouse. It's all overgrown with vines, and if they step on any one of them, they get whipped, which required basically skill roll. Was kind of an encounter walking to the guardhouse. Social encounter when they got to the guardhouse. Then from there, walking to leave the city, is the third one. Getting over the fence that the rogue had used to sneak in and out of the city. Noticed one potion ingredient. Walking to the house, noticed a fallen log, noticed a second potion ingredient, and then a third, they noticed a third slightly poisonous potion ingredient that the little baby shadow drake had eaten some of, and they were freaking out. Finally, there was a displacer beast that had made its nest inside the childhood home of the rogue. And they barricaded themselves in and started brewing the potion when the displacer beast like pushed on the door, and there was like a thump, and they had put like nails in the floor so the door couldn't open. So thump as it tries to walk in, a slight thump as it pushes with one of its paws, and then 3 more thumps as it puts all 4 of its front paws on the door. Jumps up on top, and like I played up like how they didn't know what was outside, and sort of like giving more of a horror aspect to it. Even though it's a CR3 creature that they could probably kill, but had they not chosen to barricade up the one door and the one window, they would have absolutely had a combat with a displacer beast at all of them at half health. It was gonna be bad.
It was gonna be bad, yeah.
But thank the fucking heavens that they chose to barricade themselves in, and
that's a very smart way to barricade it. Nails into the floor.
Yeah, they ripped up some of the floorboards and barricaded the door. Took a table that had been pushed over to the side because I was like, the furniture in the room seems to have been pushed aside. Like, this is a larger beast.
Oh.
They heard the thumping of it walking along the roof, and I'm like, the rogue, you know how well the house is like built because you grew up in it. This thumping would not be happening if the creature was not big.
Yeah, fair enough.
And when there is the thump against the door, and then thump against the door, I'm like, there's 4 legs, and plus probably the ostensible 2 it's standing on. They're like, 6. It has 6 legs and it's big. And they were looking through the animal corpses, and I'm like, the bite marks seem similar. With a successful nature roll, the bite mark seems similar to a cat that's started eating a mouse. They're like, 6 legs, big cat. But all of my players are roughly new, so they don't know what a displacer beast is yet. But those were all encounters, so to speak, either 6 or, depending on how you count them, 3. But we, like, that was exactly enough to fill up one of our group's sessions. Admittedly, we have to play for a little bit less time, but that filled it up because of the positively glacial rate at which my D&D group clears encounters of any sort.
Yeah.
Combat's actually relatively quick compared to social encounters, weirdly enough.
Fair enough. That's actually, like, good. I would say.
Yeah, no, it is. It's kind of refreshing, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of, like, weird to get used to.
Fair enough, yeah. That does make sense.
Our combats always take forever, but that's just because combats usually take forever.
Yeah.
Usually the outliers when it goes quickly.
Unless if Boris kills a boss with his Boris barrage and then puts the rod of holding on the spider.
That's right.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway.
Or wrestles a lich to the ground.
That's right.
That's the one.
That's the one.
There it is.
That is indeed the one.
Hope you're fucking proud of yourself, you son of a bitch.
Steely said, okay, time for me to go. Thanks for the awesome stream. See you guys soon. See you, Steely.
Okay, bye.
Hi, Steely. Bye, Steely.
See you in the VOD. But yeah, so I would say overall 3 is probably a good number. Just for major encounters, because I feel like planned encounters, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like your players are probably going to get up to antics to take up the time between 1 and 2, so you're only going to get to maybe 2. Maybe. Right? Because most of the time, at least, I feel doing... Oh my god. I think your internet died for a second.
There we go.
Yes,
there we go. It did. Setting up 3 encounters gives you enough leeway and comfortable breathing room for the fact that any and all players, I don't care how experienced they are, will faff about. That's good. That's good that they faff about.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, look at the Mighty Nine and their faffing about and how much fun it is.
Yep.
For example, faffing about is in fact one of the joys of D&D.
I'd say so.
Yeah. However, it does mean that as a DM and as a storyteller, that can kind of feel almost at odds with getting stuff done. For instance,
depends.
I prepared, and anyone who is a player in my campaign, I told you to leave before. Why are you still here? But make doubly sure you leave now. 3, 2, 1, get the fuck out. I prepared a boss fight. That was supposed to be they walk to the boss fight, maybe getting lashed by vines on the way there. Um, I prepared mechanics for the boss has more or less these healing berries that they will discover before they encounter the boss. They'll discover some clusters of blood berries. Um, and they heal 4d8 hit points.
Oh.
And the party just 2/3 of the party leveled up to level 4. And then the rogue stayed up brewing a potion, so they did not get a long rest.
Gotcha.
Uh-huh. But the potion that the rogue made is an herbicide / poison, which if used on the boss, each vial that they use on the boss eliminates 5 bloodberries from its potential stock, and it has 20.
Okay.
So they will have enough to they have enough to make 6 vials, meaning that they can potentially use 1 vial to on the vines walking to the boss, and not have to worry about rolling, and then 5 vials to eliminate the berries, and then all they have to deal with is the boss itself, which does not directly take actions. But every time it's injured, it summons a guardian.
Cool.
And it has an action of summon a guardian or an action of use bloodberries.
Okay.
So it can, for a few rounds, summon guardians and then consume 1d4 clusters of 1d4 clusters that deal 48 healing.
Right.
So the potential it can heal a fuck ton.
Yeah.
And the herbicide is meant to take care of that.
Right.
If the players happen to notice that, wow, these berries heal, but if they don't notice bunches of berries withering and the beast or the plant fighting with renewed vigor, oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I designed that to be last week's session, and as I told you about the summary of last week's session, we never even fucking got to it,
Right?
Because of the glacial rate at which they progress.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it, because it makes my job as DM very easy because now I essentially have no prep to do for this next coming week.
Yeah.
And B, it means that instead of sort of rushing through content and storytelling, I can take time sort of drying up roses that the party will invariably smell.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a very interesting way to put it.
So I'm okay with the party clearing things at their current rate. However, I can't deny that it's fucking glacial. The 2 or 3 Saturdays ago, we held a 13-hour session of D&D.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you talking about this.
Yeah. And the party finally caught up to content I had prepared 4 months ago.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am actually the exact same, where you remember how during the sessions I've been waiting to do this.
Yeah.
Where I've been waiting to use the Skaven voice, and I've been waiting to use that particular song in that particular moment, and yada yada yada. I'm the exact same way.
Yeah. I think I'm completely different from both of you in that respect then. Just because I as I have stated many a time, I let the players set the pace, and that is the pace that I go at, right?
Yes.
And I don't stray from that really too much. I don't feel like there's a need for me to do that. To make sure that we're getting to things right. I'm just happy that we're playing. Really, you know. So it's just one of those things where I that like because when you said seems at odds with progression in such a game. That's foreign to me, putting it that way, because it's just I don't know. I feel like it's all in the spirit of being whatever progression it is either character progression or just like whatever. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just everything is some sort of progress. There's no setbacks or need for there to be too strict a timetable, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and let me clarify my point. When I do say it seems at odds with progression, I do mean it seems like I can imagine a DM who wants to tell a story quickly would get frustrated with it. I am perfectly fine with how my party clears things.
Yeah.
The last session where literally all that was accomplished was looting the bedside tables of a bunch of people who were dead.
Nice.
And the rogue having a mental and emotional breakdown.
Right.
That was literally all that happened, which as a DM that wants to focus on like, hurry up, tell the story now.
Right. Which
that would be incredibly frustrating. But
yeah.
I was talking to the character that plays the rogue over the past like couple weeks, and I was like, so how does it feel like Sorrel hasn't stolen a lot from people this campaign? He's the only rogue who's made it to level 3 that without stealing that I know of. How does it feel to know? Would you find it safe or fair to say that the first thing Sorrel stole was the lives of some brothers? And she was like, "Oh, fuck you."
I guess in my point of view on that is it's less I don't get frustrated by slow burns and stuff like that.
Right.
I feel worried about it.
Okay.
A lot of times because I'm like, oh shit, nothing's happening. They're probably losing interest.
Yeah.
Unless they are like unless you guys are like actively role playing and shit.
Right.
I'm just like, oh god, I don't want them to get bored. Quick, something happened. You know.
I guess. I didn't mean to imply that was what I thought you were like being like Aiden with trying to get things going and stuff. I just mean that just in general that mindset is more foreign to me, because like having a we need to get going thing like that feels so counterintuitive to the way that D&D is, unless it is a one shot. Like and it needs to be a one shot, and we have strict timetables, and this is something that we have to do this time, and we don't have other time to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And we really, really, really want to get to whatever it is. Right. It feels more like this is a quick obligation that we have all agreed upon, instead of it being a collaborative story that we all want to play together. Just to me, at least. I know that's not necessarily what it is to a lot of people, because I'm sure there are plenty of great games that have happened in a day, right? Mm-hmm. Or in like 2 hours, right? Like I'm just saying that it's just a weird thing of like, I need this to keep going.
Yeah.
I need this to go, because otherwise we're not going to get to the thing that needs to happen, right? Because I don't know, for me, just taking that time, slowing down, and actually enjoying the moments are more my speed because I'm a fucking weirdo.
And I mean, there are absolutely moments where slowing down and talking and just, smelling all the roses.
Well, yeah.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I just mean in general the pacing just being what it is. I guess I mean that more so than it being specifically a slow pace. I just mean the pace itself just being however it is in the moments, right? Because you know me, I'm flexible with it and I'm chill about it because it's just like either we get to it or we don't, Yeah. And the preparation and stuff.
Yes. Yes. You have no drive or ambition.
That's right. I have no passion or ambition at all.
Yes. So lackadaisical.
That's me. That is me.
At all times.
Yep. Most of the time, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
BRB, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
What does BRB mean? It's the way you said that was so weird.
All right.
BRB.
What's a good example? We'll start off. What do you think, there, Gonzo?
Well, let's do the old classic. Let's just start our group in a tavern.
A tavern.
Yeah, of
Sure.
course. Why not?
Yeah.
And we've done a video on how where not to start or starting anywhere else but a tavern. But
I saw in some of the social groups they said, "Well, you start in a town on the street, and you're going to the tavern."
yeah, there you go. Yeah, you head to the
Fair
tavern.
enough.
That's where all information lies, and it's going to be no different here. I say, Mark, we start in a tavern, and our hook is that there's rumors in this place. We'll name this place Scuttle Cove. It's on the coast somewhere.
Okay.
And
Port
it's,
town.
Yeah, port town, a little bit seedy. There's some sailors, fishermen, maybe a few pirates mixed in. But the general undertone is everyone is a little worried about something, and you get that sense as you're in there on your last bit of money, eating your last bit of food as a starting adventuring party.
Okay. All
So
right, good.
that's where I would start,
Good
and
hook.
then you throw a hook at them as far as something's got to happen, right? Something's got to engage them to decide to do something.
Well, they'll never leave the tavern.
Someone comes to them offering what every group of young players or first level players need, and that's money.
Yeah, they need money.
It says-
nothing.
Comes to the table and, I'm Sir Reginald. I need your help. You guys look like adventurers. I need your help.
Oh, that's fucking profiling.
Right. I have an interesting question.
Okay.
At least I think.
I'll be the judge of
That's
that.
right. That's right. Adventurers, the term.
Yeah.
When that is used in game, does that ever throw you the fuck off?
It depends, really.
Okay.
Because I do agree because I was joking about it being profiling, but it is a good point.
So I
what does an adventurer look like?
Right. So I can understand the typical "you're not from around here" type, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But every single time I'm ever referred to as an adventurer in any campaign, ever, I just go, "You don't know me."
Yeah, you don't know the first thing about me.
It's so weird to me because I'm just like, why would somebody, unless I'm literally part of an adventurers guild and we have a signet or
a badge or something.
Yeah, it's something that is very recognizable, right? I don't understand why I'm not just called a traveler, why I'm not just called whatever my profession is, maybe, because I wear that on my sleeve, maybe, somehow, right? Whatever it is, just some dude. I would not, I guess if you're in a party, right, and you're a bunch of randos together and you look really out of place, in that case, it makes more sense to me, but even so, maybe we're a caravan, you know?
Guess that, when you think, let's think about it from the perspective of medieval shit.
Yeah.
Because that's usually when these things are.
Right.
I guess a peasant versus someone who looks like they can handle themselves in a fight would look different.
They would, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't. What I'm saying is, I think adventure is just something that is just thrown around too much because it could be you're a mercenary, right? Like, mercenary is a lot more common in my brain than adventurer, right?
It is true.
I think that's a better way to call, or a better way to refer to somebody that you just have no fucking idea who they are, and they're armored up to shit. Like, you look like a mercenary, you know, like, because you look, or you're a guard, or you're just, you know, a knight, right? Like, something, adventurer just feels weird to me whenever I hear it. I don't know why. Adventurers is used too often, says August. Outsiders and foreigners make more sense because maybe someone is moving there to start a family. Also, rather than adventurers, why not be called mercenaries, which makes more sense, or troubleshooters for a more sci-fi modern setting? Could be, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. I just hear it way too much, and every time I'm just like, I wouldn't refer to myself as an adventurer, though. I just refer to myself as a guy who does things for money sometimes.
A homeless person with a sword.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like, literally, my character that I'm playing in my Wednesday campaigns is an orator. And that's how I usually, like, orator and historian. And if they're well-knowledged, then they know the words anthropologist, right? But that's a very modern word, which I don't use too much. I usually say a studier of those who came before. But orator is usually the one that I go to because he's a bard and that's his thing. He talks, like, that's his whole thing. A hobo that murders, one might say.
No,
Thank you,
please.
Con. Yes. But so, and so if somebody comes up to my guy and calls him an adventurer, I'd go, what the fuck are you? He's an old turtle man who's got a bag. That's him. Like, that's all he is when you look at him.
You look like an adventurer.
It's like, I'm from out of town, I guess. I don't.
Oh, you came from out of town. How? It's like the next town over is like 1 billion miles away.
Right.
Sounds like an adventure to me.
Sounds like a trek to me, you adventurer. So yeah. I don't know. It's just something I wanted to bring up and ask.
Yeah.
You want to turn the term adventurer over its head, change it to another word that's a slur because the people hate them. Ooh, you adventurer. Yeah. That could do some wonders. Go through to towns where adventurers, quote unquote, are those who are, like, actually just bandits who go through and just, like, solve problems, but fucking, you know, take payment.
Murder.
Well, they take payment always, but always demand more, you know, and protection money, right? Like, it becomes something that's like that. Old turtle man, Master Roshi. Don't worry, no, people call him Oogway all the time. You know, it's fine.
He's fucking sick and tired of it.
No, I understand.
No, the character, not you.
No, oh yeah, no. I've also heard rat catcher instead. I like that. Yeah, because they'll do whatever, so they're a rat catcher. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually a job.
Yeah, I know.
Warhammer.
That's
great.
also true. Yeah.
Daughter's been taken, or something.
Right.
I don't know.
All right. Taken by who?
Cragmaw the Flatulent. Cragmaw the Flatulent.
That's a good piratey name.
Yeah, he lives on Skull Island. He's on an island offshore. It's been reputed to be haunted for years.
Sorry.
Apparently he has intestinal problems.
What?
He must have, which is part of why it's haunted.
Yeah.
Part of why no one goes there.
It could be. All right. So he has absconded with someone's daughter.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then obviously you're dangling money in front of the group. They're going to want to take that.
Right.
All right. So that's our hook. What about our encounters? All right. So what happens next?
So they need to hire a ship, and he gives them some money, but it's not enough he doesn't know if this group of young adventurers can tackle it or not. So he may say, look, I'll give you some up front, but I can't give you the rest until you produce my daughter.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And it's a big amount, whatever that would be for your group, depending on the size and everything.
Okay. So they may even go some negotiating possibly there.
Yeah, so you would negotiate. Your barbarian would try to intimidate.
Yeah, right.
And the bard would try to seduce
them.
So whichever works. Or both happens at the same time.
Okay, right, okay.
But either way,
right.
you find out basically that you meet this I don't know who's running the ship. Some cantankerous guy.
Yeah, some cantankerous guy. Scully, the one-eyed pirate.
Okay.
He's a really a cantankerous guy.
Yeah.
So he has a ship, and for some reason, maybe there's been a storm or something, or it's good fishing day. There's only one ship available, and he's the one that's got it. So they need to hire this ship. So they go and they approach the guy,
and he's reluctant to go to.
This is just a scenario that they're coming up with. There's nothing we can add. It's fine. You know, like this is.
Yeah.
There's nothing like other than like. There's the only thing that I would say in response to this for anybody who's watching is just don't be afraid to use like cliches. It's fine, you know, like the tavern, there are pirates. I don't know, like there's another pirate who you're hiring from. Like they're not, or sorry, not cliches. Sorry, stereotypes, and all the tropes. That's the one, because cliches are used to such a degree that you don't care, right? But a trope is just what it can be beforehand. It can be something that it is very much recognizable, right? And it's just something to get you started in the adventure and all that shit, and there's nothing wrong with going with the classics. Nothing wrong. Poop shovelers, because they do all the shit others don't want to. Exactly. That's right.
Skull Island.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go. Yeah, right. So, so now maybe some more kind of negotiating goes on.
Okay.
There may be money change hands, or the promise of money if he goes,
or he has a task for you. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll trade you. You get me that rope over there that's in the warehouse.
Okay, perfect.
That's really good rope for my riggings, and I'll take you to Skull Island. That's worth it.
Okay, perfect. So now, that's kind of a puzzle kind of thing, because they have to kind of figure the way to get in to just take this rope. They could maybe find someone to buy it, maybe if they are, but they don't have a lot of money, so they're going to have to
probably have to steal it or borrow it
at night. Right. So maybe now they have to wait till nighttime, and there's a whole thing to try to negotiate that. Maybe the rogue gets involved using his sneaky
create a diversion. Maybe the group creates a diversion.
Yeah, a lot of possibilities, and this is where that time can really start happening, because as a group they got to come up with a plan. And man, I have seen plans take forever.
Yeah, they do.
Especially in a heist kind of situation.
Like we've just thought of 3 or 4 ways to try to get this barrel of rope out of a warehouse full of guards.
Right.
This also is the planning stage can really take a long time because of character personalities, right?
Indeed.
Rogue might be super down to go and steal the thing, but the paladin might be a good paladin who's like, no, we can't steal. Or just in general, you might have good characters who are like, no, we can just ask them to borrow it, you know? And then once they say no, then it's like, oh, well, something's got to give, right? But it can really help as well with determining the dynamic that your party's going to have, right? And also helping you, I think, determine how you're going to really cement this party, because we haven't really touched on it too much, but why is this party together, right? Yes, money is involved. Yes, there is a quest, but will they stay together afterwards? Is this going to be the party group for the entirety of your campaigns? How are you going to make it so that they have whatever it is to share, to want to get to be together for a long period of time in order to make that end goal happen with all of them there? Do you, whilst this is happening, afterwards, once you're at the pirate that you're going to go get the daughter from, right? Do you have inklings from several different backstories that tie together, right? And kind of make it so they're all tied because of some strands of fate that seem to have weaved themselves together? Or do you give them all some sort of shared trauma that happens because of the pirate? Or does something happen during that makes them more want to stick together? The thing that I'm going for here is something that isn't just lost puppy syndrome, right? Where you just have a party stick together because they all know each other. Now, whilst that still works, right? It's
less compelling.
It is less compelling. It feels a lot less natural. It just is. We're all here. we're all just gonna stick together, right?
Yeah, let's just do this thing. We're playing D&D.
That's what it becomes. It becomes an out of game thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why I say I heavily encourage whenever the party is making characters. I have them make their characters in concert because it provides an opportunity for people to go like, oh, and like we can so and so, like, oh, and maybe we work together at this restaurant. Because otherwise the you get the effect that I like to call imprinting.
Yes.
Like a ducklet. The first thing that it's or duckling, ducklet is a Pokemon.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
A duckling. The first creature that a duckling sees, it thinks is mother.
Right.
Yeah.
It's called imprinting, and you will have your party members do the exact same thing to each other, and it is kind of a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. I always want there to be something, and like if you don't have the ability to have them all make characters together, whether that be because of time reasons or because of other anything really, because I've had it happen many a time. It's just something that like you then have to do as the DM and kind of figure out on your end, and it makes it a lot harder to do, but it is something that I think is worth doing to try to get these people to come together in some way to make it feel even better when they succeed together, right? Because it's ultimately not just for you, it's hopefully to make it so that they all care to experience what each other is doing, right? If they're not in the scene, it helps to get them to listen and pay attention to the other characters and what they're doing and really have an interest, I think. And can get them to want to be involved in those stories, right?
I actually so when everyone in one of my campaigns, the campaign that I'm a paladin in, when everyone made their characters, they all made them together, but I had to miss the session because I had to work.
Right.
And the party came up with all of these reasons for why for like why they all knew each other, for why they would want to hang out with each other. And I knew that I would be the outsider, so I decided to take that outsider aspect and sort of lean into it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, maybe the party is just desperate for an extra sword, and they're willing to hire on some extra help, making me essentially a mercenary.
That's right.
But my character as a paladin will also have his own moral code and a deep distaste for adventurers and adventurers guilds.
That's right.
Because he sees being an adventurer as being more essentially a paid murderer.
Yep.
And he will say, look, I will follow along and I'll help you guys. Just A, compensate me for my time. B, let me, like, you all, I assume, like, just kill someone and leave them where they are, loot them and whatever and move forward. That won't happen with me around. We do not rob the dead, and we bury the dead, and we give them the honor that they deserve.
Unless they were shitters, of course.
Unless they were shitters.
Right.
Exactly. Or heretics.
That's right.
Yeah, liches are... My paladin worships the god of death. It's hard to be a heretic unless you're a lich or a necromancer.
That's right.
But there was a shitter that is the only person that Morty has not buried. And that's because Morty turned the man... He punched the man who had 13 hit points and did 39 points of damage.
So he exploded.
He did like 42. I turned the man's into a cloud.
He jibbed him.
Yeah, and then I kept punching, and I punched down the wall behind him.
There you go.
Okay.
That'll
Sounds
get
like
him
he
out
was
of
a
there.
shitter, all right.
That's right.
I turned the man's into a paste on the wall, and then I destroyed the wall. There's nothing to bury.
Yes.
So, over time, though, despite being an outsider and despite the fact that Morty's flaws, he is critically bad at self-representation.
Right.
He formed relationships with the party to the point when the party had to fight a war. He requested help. Morty requested help from another paladin he knew and said, "Would you please fight in this war alongside me to fight in this man's chapter? This man is captaining a squad, more or less.
I see. Yeah.
Fight with me in this squad because that man's wife is pregnant with 2 children, and I will not have those children be orphans."
There you go. But you will make many orphans of other people's children.
Yeah, but they were necromancers.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Necromancer children aren't entitled to
There
parents.
you go. There it is. Get him out of here.
Fucking savage.
I love it.
So, he's made bonds with the party, and when the person who needed to be kept alive later on took on a dragon aspect and lost control of his own rage and wound up eating a person bodily, like the party was fighting against, I call them affectionately, the Lathander Jihad.
I remember this story.
Because
That's
they were in a town full of undead and just decided to start wrecking shit. And my character was like, these undead are actually like conscious and sapient. Let's contact Lathander before we start killing.
Yes.
Never said don't kill. He just said wait.
Yeah, exactly. Hold your blade before.
Exactly, and that was too much for the Lathander Jihad.
That's right.
And when we started fighting the Lathander Jihad, the one person grew into an aspect of a dragon and ate a person. And when he transformed back into a human, he was like, I took someone from Morty's own faith. Extremists, but it is from his faith.
Yeah.
And I prevented them from being buried. And he knew how much that would devastate Morty.
Right.
And he felt terminally awful for it.
Yeah.
So Morty has to deal with the fact that he had, like, saw this happen and he's like, huh, while also trying to comfort his friend.
Right, yeah.
Not to mention, I imagine it probably tasted pretty fucking awful.
Yeah.
Very tough, apparently. Oh, no, the Lathander Jihad was living.
Oh, okay.
Very tough.
Morty has progressed from being an outsider to when the guy with the kids got married.
Yeah.
Morty was his best man.
There you go.
So, like, that's the thing where you even all this to say, basically, if design your characters in concert and come up with reasons for them to want to hang out together. But even if this cannot happen, you can make up for it if you roleplay with the goal of, I will be adopted into this group because they are good people who were totally fine with me burying the dead and not grave robbing.
Right.
They grumbled a bit, sure, but they obeyed it.
Right.
And then eventually they got used to it and just kind of accepted it for being what it was. And my character has a deep respect for all the members of the party, and all the members of the party have that, and it's that formation of the bond that keeps the party together.
I also want to highlight that this is a purpose that you have made after the fact, that you have driven your character to be able to bond with them. And I think that's very important, because sometimes I see it where it feels like people make these characters and they don't have that goal for them to be together, even though they want to play together, right?
Yes.
And they just keep being so standoffish that it makes it so hard to make characters want to interact with them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really
if you're all edgy rogues sitting at different corners of the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like it's one of those things where you need to also, like, if you want that personality, that's fine. You can make it work. You just need to give yourself that much to make it work. Because I understand that some things take time, but we also want to play together and want it to be an enjoyable time. So, like, some things need to be sped up a little bit.
Yes.
You can have a bond, or at least try to have a bond with someone to make it so that it still feels like you're a part of the group. And you can develop the rest of the bonds as much as you want, as slowly as you want. That's fine. But as long as you're still, like, a part of the group and you have a reason to be here, then it's fine. Just don't be so standoffish all the time.
Don't be a shitter.
Right.
Or I'll punch you through a wall.
That's right.
And then
I'll punch you
the wall.
into a wall.
Into a wall and then break the wall. Hey, necromancer lives matter. That's true. I'll drop a baby necromancer in the party's lap and force them to raise the child as a family. That's
Oh my God.
right.
I've done that.
It's a
Yeah,
good
but-
idea.
Is that really?
Yeah, really. Come on.
Just make an NPC that is a child and must be raised by parents, and then make the NPC loved by everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just like Mocha.
That's right.
Yup.
You'll have
that
an
could
even
take a
easier
long
time if they are enamored.
So that's an encounter.
True.
You know, so let's say fast forward, they do get the rope.
Okay.
All right, and they convince the guy to take them to the island. All right, so they're on it. They make it to the island. There's roles all involved in this. You know, there's roles for stealth. There's roles that maybe
Yeah,
dexterity.
ability
Maybe
checks,
maybe it's they have to get. Once they get in there, that there's oil on the floor and it's very slippery in order to get to the barrels, and so now maybe it's dexterity checks. So there's a lot of possibilities for skill checks and things.
Which
Then-
is nice to do in the first adventure with
Yeah.
new players, because then they get used to being able to use the different skills and
Right.
understand what you're asking for. When you say make an acrobatic skill check, they know where to look on their character sheet. They know what that does for them. They're starting to get the hang of it. Make a
I think the most important thing for new players, for actually, like, getting them through their first, like, session, is to let them fail forward.
Yes.
Especially in this beginning scenario, because they can, like, you can give them hard impasses on occasion, but I think that getting them to the point where they need to get to in order to get them through and get them to know all this stuff should be something where you still get them there, but it's just a lot fucking harder because of all the failure.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Failing forward is a very good idea.
Yeah, and
Or,
especially
giving them the ability to fail forward.
yeah, especially for new players, or even
Yes.
for just, like, experienced players with a new system. Like,
Yeah.
just regardless, it just helps with mechanics, and it helps with getting these things all in their brain.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, even if you're experienced players with a system that you're very familiar with, it can be a fun way to just keep the story going.
Yeah, very much so.
Because, like, one of the examples that it's actually hard baked into 7th Sea,
Mhm.
one of the things that they do is, like, imagine you're running across, because it's pirates, so swashbuckling bullshit. Right. You're running across rooftops, and you're trying to avoid the guards.
Yes.
And if you make the jump across to this next roof, you'll avoid the guards. But if you fail, you don't just instantly get caught. You are now, you fall through like an awning above a fruit stall.
Yeah.
And now other guards have seen you, but you're not caught yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the chase continues. You don't just instantly lose.
Yeah.
wisdom skill check to see if you notice which barrel is the one that has the right rope, or whatever you would use, intelligence or something.
Right. All right, so you get there. Let's say you could the whole just the journey over.
They haven't even had a battle yet.
Right.
Or maybe they did.
Maybe they're attacked on the way. Maybe a storm comes up. There's a lot of possibilities even getting to the island. But let's say fast forward, they get to the island. They get to the island, and how's that go?
Skull Island, haunted skull, carved in the side of a mountain. They get in. There's probably some traps along the way.
Yeah.
They're making more checks. They're pretty leery.
The flashlight guy is
and
pretty
then maybe
paranoid.
some, then the battles ensues, and they get to use some of their abilities and weapons and spells that they have.
Right.
They obviously clash with the main bad guy, Cragmaw the Flatulent. He gets away or he doesn't. That's up to you. How important is he to your campaign? Do you want to use him again? Then just have him slide down an escape hatch that he had made for him. If you don't want to use him again, but leave a clue to someone else that may be involved, you can do that. And they rescue the girl.
They rescue the girl.
Everything's perfect.
They get the girl and they go and they say, we got you. And they come to find out it's the wrong girl.
Yeah, we're bringing you to Reginald.
What the?
Your dad.
Yeah, we're giving your dad. My dad died 6 years ago. My dad's not Reginald.
Boom.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Plot hook for next time.
Plot hook.
There you go. So we just went through a bunch of different kinds of encounters. We definitely had mystery in there. We had social interactions. We had maybe some puzzle or some traps when it was the trap section where they had like plates that they had to avoid when they get to the place. So there, I said puzzle to me. The heist would be an example of that.
And it's very minimal as far as NPCs that you have to come up with. You need Reginald and the captain of the ship,
right?
And maybe a guard that they're going to divert or whatever. You don't need that much. The bad guys are bad guys. They're used to hearing "Die, you fools," and they come right at them. It's not a lot for a dungeon master. Yet that's been a great night if you can do all that in one night. In our group.
Probably not.
I don't know. We'd still be in the bar negotiating for money from Reginald.
Probably, when we get to the
There you go. See, it's universal. It's universal.
Part, but, so then let's say you did that and that's the evening. Your next step. What are the next steps? Where do we go from here?
Next step as a DM, and I think this is the funnest part for me, is how can I tie in
the most fun
idea from one of my players' backgrounds into the story that we've started and kind of came up with.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you tie in things from backgrounds, backstories, whatever, and get your players involved into this thing if this is the way that you're gonna go. Absolutely. You might as well. Maybe somebody like you said, you have your sailor person, and that's how you're starting the thing. So then you have the sailor find out that I don't know, a crewmate that they used to sail with back in the day is now tied to this pirate captain, right? Like they are the person in charge of that person that they just took down. Right.
Yes.
And they had the orders to steal this person, and they're just like, "Wait, my friend that I knew before? That's weird."
God.
And then you go, "Yeah, they weren't like that before at all. There's what the fuck? Why are they like this now?" And they're like, "Yeah, why are they like this now?" And you just look at them as the DM and go, "I don't know."
Dude, saying I don't know as the DM is one of the greatest joys.
It's so good, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then they go, and then they just
when you look a player in the face and you say, "Man, dude, you almost died this session," and then they go, "What?" and you go, "I don't know."
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, and so you can do that very, very, very easily. Just make it so that then they go, "How the fuck? Oh, what happened?" Right? And so they start thinking about it, and then you might overhear some in-character talk of like, "Wait, I knew this guy. He was like this, and something absolutely horrible must have happened in order to get him to this point," right? And then you go, idea. Thank you. Yes. And then you start going with that expectation, or you could subvert it somehow and make it work that way. Like, I don't know, they really needed money, like really badly. Like, I don't know.
Life's a bitch. Sorry.
Yeah, fucking sucks. But apparently he was really good at being a really bad person. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Right? Like, do whatever you need to make that kind of work for you. and make it the next hook for that character, and maybe tie a couple other people into it and all that shit. Yeah. This overall so far, fucking fine first campaign world adventure thing.
Yes.
Keep going at that point, you know, like basically like all I would say is don't stop. You're doing great, you know?
Yeah. And while I'm doing that, maybe why is this guy come up with the reason of why is this guy abducting these girls? Is he using them in trade for something? Is he using them for a ceremony that's going to raise a kraken from the sea or something? I mean, you always lead to something bigger that's coming, an impending doom or something.
Yeah, I could see something like someone was in their backstory that they had a sister that was abducted by some guy that sounds very similar to this.
A little
guy.
quiet now.
Maybe this guy's working for someone else and they're gathering these girls for whatever.
Yeah, maybe he's part of a network of people that are all over.
So that's the kind of thing, the thread that you bring in, and what it does is it makes them buy in, at least from that character. But a lot of times, even if it's one person's backstory, the rest of them are like, yeah, we're going to go and, you know, that's horrible that happened in your background.
Right.
And now we feel like we're going to go do something about that guy. And I like the idea of that big bad evil guy kind of leaving and coming back around again. That's not a bad thing to do, because as time goes on, they really hate that guy. You know, and they're like, oh, that's that guy again, you know, and he's always getting this slippery guy, and we know more about him. We know more about the horrible things he's done.
It sounds like we need to run this.
I would be hesitant to make your bad guy too intentionally slippery, because I guarantee you, like, your party's gonna kill him encounter 2, maybe even encounter 1.
It really, so this is why I think I would use the to take from an old RuneSmith video, actually. Taking instead of having it be that guy every time, you have a middleman, right? Like you have that guy's, you know, not even their number 2, not even their number 3, not even their number 4.
They're number 36.
Exactly. You have somebody who's always going to be tied to them, but you're not going to have that guy every time. You make it so it's special when he comes in, if you want him to come in every now and again. But you also need to think, if you want him to be the very end guy, you need to make a very compelling and logical reason as to how he gets the fuck away. Especially with however your party is in composition, in their abilities, like,
and just how they operate.
Exactly. Like, you have had experience with these people, hopefully, before you bring this guy back. If you're going to do that, obviously you've had a little time to figure out how your players are going to think, right? And you see how they're leveling, and you see what they've taken, and you go, okay.
I need to make somebody who is invincible to grapples. Got it.
That's right. But it's just one of those things that you need to make it so that it's plausible, right? It's not that it needs to be, like, directly against them. It needs to be plausible enough that you can go, okay, I understand that this guy is a planner, right? This guy needs to get the fuck out when he thinks he's threatened. If he is conveyed as that intelligent, then it should make sense when he pulls out that trapdoor that he's been hiding under that rug that you saw and it was pointed out to you, but you didn't notice the trapdoor underneath, or maybe you did. But you didn't know that it was a trapdoor for escape. You might have thought it was a trapdoor for a trap, like an actual and then, you know, then he goes down the trapdoor and maybe you follow? But if you follow, maybe the trapdoor leads to a boat, and the boat has already taken off from the little underground dock, and now you have to follow him without a boat. I don't know.
And there's sharks in the water.
That's right. There are sharks in there too, because he trained laser sharks. That's right.
He's a Bond villain.
That's right. But you know, just obviously you got to make it at least plausible, and consistent enough that he can escape.
That's why I had in my first campaign, my big bad evil guy could kick a level 2 party's shit in.
Yeah.
But he was trying to ingratiate himself to a group, and he had direct orders from someone who was, for the time being, his boss. If you see opposition, I need you to leave.
Yeah.
And that is why, as soon as he noticed the party, he looked over and essentially walked through a teleportation portal.
Oh, I remember this too. Yeah, I remember you talking about this.
And because the way that this guy has lived for thousands of years is by grafting on body parts onto himself. He's called the Patchwork Doctor for that reason. He put his own arm through the teleportation circle and pushed a pile of rocks and magical equipment over, which canceled, it destroyed the portal. But then it cut his own arm off, smudging, which of course the blood spilling out from the arm smudged the
circle.
The circle on the floor. Meaning that the party could not follow. But they're like, yo, this man's just cut off his own arm. And I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, dude, he's gonna die. And I'm like, no, he won't.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Strange that he would
Crazy
do
if
that
he didn't.
willingly. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I want to play this.
Exactly. I
So
think
we should do that.
This is good stuff.
Keep it simple. If you're starting off fresh, just keep it simple. Come with 2 or 3 encounters for your first night, and I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll be able to flesh out your world as you go, using the characters' backgrounds, using your own thought process and your own storytelling, and that's how we have done it, and it's been a lot of fun. If you have the time, go ahead and prepare everything ahead of time. Have Skull Island prepared. Have his lieutenants prepare, Kragmaw's lieutenants, and have his flatulence be a big part of the story. You're welcome to that. But
I misheard him there. He said flatulence. I thought he said flagellance, and I'm like, what?
Either way.
What is 40K now?
Right, yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and if you like what the ideas that we came up today, we've got lots more. We'd like you to join us, so make sure you subscribe and hit the like button as well. And comment below if you've got some ideas of how to simplify that process of that first night in planning. We had some ideas to simplify that and make it easy, or share some examples of where you didn't do that maybe and how that went for you. And we'd like to hear some of those. We'd like to hear stories of how things went horribly wrong. Those are fun to read. So anyway, I think that's all we have time for today, Gonzo. So with that, class dismissed.
You need to know the
Nice.
Yeah, I like the outro.
I do like that. That was good.
Yeah, not the worst.
No.
Yeah.
No, I would say pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
Good for beginners. Absolutely.
Yes.
I would also say, if you haven't yet, go subscribe to Dungeon Class. Do it. Anyway, that's it. That's the day.
Yes.
That's the podcast.
That is it.
I mean,
We did
for
it,
videos.
Patrick.
That's right. We saved the city.
Yes. And I was finally able to do all the dry brushing I needed to do.
Nice. So,
Been putting that off for way too fucking long.
so let's move on to comments. We
All
do have
Lux.
comments. We have 2 comments, in fact. Oh. The first one is from Con of 7.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? You've been around. So,
Yes.
this was on last week's episode.
Yes.
Let me bring it up right here. There we go. It says, I can't tell if you guys eventually reach this conclusion, but when Crispy says that that's stupid at 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 18 seconds, I think he's countering common advice from people who say you need to have everything fleshed out. Because you don't necessarily do. Working out the intricacies of the economics of a kingdom halfway across the world can be fun, but if it's not relevant to the dungeon the PCs are currently crawling through, then why does it matter? If the answer is it doesn't, then you're not prepping, you're procrastinating. And we eventually figured out what he meant by it.
Yes, finally.
It's just, yeah, it was just that overall, I don't think it is stupid to do if you have the time and you're enjoying it. That was my main contention. It's just if you're doing it when you're like when you don't have, or when you have not your next session prepared. Like if that's not prepared and you're not prepared for whatever's coming next.
Yeah, enjoy it if you have prep it if you have time to kill.
Exactly. Like that's when it's like fine. But if you don't have that time, then it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Like I have 2 whole ass nations I could develop. Because I have more than a week of prep to play with.
Yeah, exactly. Less in line of mistakes to be avoided and more advice for how to world build, I would like to present 2 approaches, top-down versus bottom-up. In top-down, you start with the big picture and work your way down to the nitty-gritty. What does the continent look like? What about the nations, factions? You keep drilling down until you get the name of the barkeep who hires the PCs to delve the local dungeon. By no means an invalid technique, but it can very easily get out of hand and overwhelming. On the other hand, if you ask Matthew Colville, he'll tell you bottom-up is the way to go. Links to the YouTube video. In bottom-up, you start with the barkeep and the dungeon and work your way out, progressively fleshing out more and more. This has the advantage of only building what you need to run a game now and letting you get to the bigger details later, if ever. Yeah, that's the other way to do it. You know, it's either way. They work.
Yeah, I'm more top down personally.
Yeah.
But both are equally valid.
Mm-hmm. I think that was the main thing we were trying to stress in last week's thing of like, however the fuck you world build is fine, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no right way. It's just whatever way works for you.
Yes.
It's not on me to tell you, no, your creative process is wrong.
Exactly.
Not on me.
If I had to tie this back to the main theme of the show, I'd summarize with don't world build more than you need unless it's just for fun, and you only need less than you might think. Sure. It's just another way to look at it, really.
Yep. Pretty much.
Okay, and then Lux. My take on world building is that you can approach it from one of 2 directions. You can either build a world to serve as a setting for a campaign, or you can build a world for its own sake and then set your campaign in it. Okay. Both approaches are equally legitimate, but which one you choose should inform the rest of the choices you make from that point on. Either your world exists to support your campaign, or your campaign exists to insert the players into your world.
Yeah,
I would say personally, I lean more towards the second thing. The world exists regardless of the campaign.
Exactly.
However, I did sort of a blending of these techniques. I told my players at session 0, this world exists and has stuff that's going on in it literally everywhere. Whether you choose to interact or even find any of it is 100% up to you. That being said, I am using this campaign to help motivate me in the fleshing out of my world. So I will be designing stuff primarily focused around you guys, because you will give me a locus. Like, you are a moving center point for me to develop stuff around.
True.
But even though I'm designing stuff for this campaign, there is going to be side stuff as well that I'm kind of working on. Which it means you have the work of doing both, and it's a nice little creative blend to create a well-developed world. However, fuck is it intense.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And here's the difference. In practical terms, if you're following the first option, you tell the story first, and then make the world remain consistent with that story. If you're following...
You said the C word.
Yeah, I know. If you're following the second option, you make sure the story remains consistent with what you've already decided about the world. It is possible to blend the 2 approaches so that you create the world, then tell the story, and then retcon the world to fit the story. but you have to be careful with that and try not to dig a bunch of plot holes. Let me process that a little bit more as I read. As far as which approach you should take, that depends on how inspiration works for you. If story ideas come more naturally to you, then you might have better luck with the first approach. If you're the type of person who comes up with the setting details more easily, then you might want to follow the second approach. Create the world, then look back at what you've done and see if any story ideas come out of it. If you're doing story first, something you can use is what's called a setting Bible. What you do with that, instead of writing out a full description of the entire world, is write down everything you've established about your world through the telling of your story. This way you can make a lot of decisions about your world as you go along, and you have something written down to keep yourself those decisions consistent with each other. Keep you consistent? But yes. On the point of sacrificing realism for fun, this is something that can make sense to do. But that's not the same as just putting something unrealistic in a setting for no reason. If the only reason something is unrealistic is because you didn't know how it worked and didn't do the research, that doesn't contribute to the fun, it just makes your setting worse. Of course, you shouldn't think you have to be a professor in every subject to run a tabletop campaign. I wouldn't say that you should let the lack of knowledge of how everything works stop you from creating a world. What I would say, however, is that knowledge of how these things work improves the quality of your world building whenever you include those things, as long as whatever you create reflects that knowledge. If you're making uniform guesses about things, the result just isn't as good. So if you want to improve your world building, you do need to take an interest in things and find out how they work. Even if you want something in your world to be different from the way it is in real life, it's better if you can show that to be an intentional difference and not just the result of a wrong assumption.
Mm-hmm. When I was designing this the dungeon that they cleared.
Yeah.
I had to look up the floor plans of fabric warehouses.
There you go.
Now, I only have one issue with this. Specifically, he did say that you don't have to be a master of every subject, but Garibay has clearly proven that you absolutely have to be.
That's right.
So, Lux, you can go and get...
You are incorrect.
That's right. You can go...
You are no Oprah.
Yeah, you can go...
I think you mean Martha Stewart.
Oh, sorry, Martha Stewart. Also no Oprah.
But also Oprah, I guess. Yeah, why not? Your generosity is not that to which Oprah would have.
Yes, but regardless, good. Yes,
yes, I agree. If I get something wrong in my games, usually if I'm corrected, I will then implement that. And we kind of go with it from there. Just because it's just easier that way, and I've learned something, and hopefully I can remain with that. And another example of looking something up, I actually, in creating the, there was a town in a desert, right? And in order to grow things in that kind of town, I looked into different kinds of ways to grow things, and I think it was drip irrigation is what it's called, and thinking about how to and looking at how they would get seawater and boil it and use the condensation to then collect as the actual water, and then like putting a tarp over it or whatever, some kind of cloth, and then using that to go through the piping and getting that through dirt in order to actually get it to work. There's many things that I looked at to go, would it work? And then I looked at crops that could grow in a hot climate as well.
Yes.
So that was a whole thing that I did that I have never had anything come up with ever. So that was neat. But I wanted it to work.
It's always an interesting thing when you have to do a fuck ton of research to get shit to work right.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very beneficial.
Yeah.
No matter what. But as long as even if you're making these kinds of guesses and stuff, if you're not going to put in the research, and the work to do like just some basic stuff. If somebody does come up to you and does like tell you that stuff, I hope that you know, not you, Lux, but I mean just in general, if somebody is this way, I hope that they would take that advice and take that like knowledge and then implement it, like, you know, and actually work with it. Because just having that assumption and going, yeah, now I know how it works, but also fuck it, right? And it's like, all right, that's okay. Because it just shows that you're able to take that kind of help from your players as well, and really gets them to have a lot more respect for that and for your world, and actually like you in general, I would say as well.
Well, it can also be valid to go, I know this isn't how it works, but fuck it.
Right, it depends on the situation.
You know, the players probably won't know this information. As such, I can probably safely ignore it because fuck, it'd be a pain to deal with.
Yeah, there are definitely instances of that too. Absolutely. But yeah, that's the comments. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Basically. Thank you for your comments. Thank you to everybody who's still around. And to those of you who have dropped by. That's it for us for today. Now it's just time to read off the patrons again. And then get the fuck out of here, basically.
Indeed.
So thank you once again to Draco Kraken, Mog Zero, Slazer, Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Frozen Spaghetti, Kill Chrono, and Lux the Scoundrel. Thank you so much to all of you for supporting us through Patreon. Very much appreciated. And of course, thank you again to everyone who's watched, subbed, liked, commented, all of that shit. And continue to do so. Because we're past 600, so next one is 7, and then after that's 8, and then 9, and then 1,000. Let's get there, boys. Or whatever you're supposed to say. I don't fucking know. So yeah,
I prefer gender neutral boys, but it's BOIS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Didn't you not hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I heard.
Okay.
I was agreeing with you.
Well, so this is the thing. I didn't say it like that. I said it like orcs.
With a Z.
With a Z. Because orcs are gender neutral as well.
That is true.
Yeah, bitch. So
I prefer to not call them by the derogatory orc and call them what they're fuck.
No.
Quarks.
Quarks.
No, quarks are gone. Orcs are no more. Orcs are now what they are. Quarks have been gone for hundreds of thousands of years, dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you meant they rewrote that.
No. They have evolved into orcs, or devolved, technically, if you will.
Wow, racist.
Nope. Just actually correct, actually. Anyway, 40k stuff at the very end. Very good. We're getting the fuck out of here. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, now leave.
Well, bye now.
Goodbye. Go.
In fact, I wish your bye to be good.
Oh my god. Why?
I'm feeling generous.
Ah.